As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome, everybody, to the Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams pregame show here on Crunch Time Sports. I'm Jeff Iafrate. We got Booner, we got Lukas Klotz, and we are live to break down Week 1 Sunday Night Football. We're fired up. Football is back. It's been on all day. Well, boys, we got prime time.
Prime time, baby.
We got a real American beer. We got the Kool-Aid. We got a signed Laporta helmet. We got everything you need in order to have a great show. And you guys are joining us. We appreciate you for that. How we feeling, fellas?
Hey, pumped up. This is 8 months. Wow, we want to say February, March, April, May, June, July, August. 7 months since we got Detroit Lions football. We're back, baby. I cannot wait. The Kool-Aid will be drunk tonight after the Detroit Lions absolutely destroy the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford, and I'll be drinking some Kool-Aid tonight. I can't wait, boys. I've been waiting for this for months.
Yeah, and I think this will be the first time we see a efficient quarterback game out of the NFC North. Sam Darnold did look good today. It's the New York Giants, so take that with a grain of salt. You saw Caleb Williams struggle. Jordan Love, he didn't look good before he got hurt either. Jared Goff about to slice up this Rams defense, which in the front seven is absolutely weak. I don't see a path to the Rams winning this game, so I'm excited. We're about to start off Week 1 the best way possible for the Lions.
Sunday Night Football, baby.
Guys, I had a call whatever you want. Maybe a coming to Jesus moment this week.
Yes.
Because and you guys, if you watch the show, you know this. I picked the Rams in a close win. Okay. Whew. And then the injuries, they just kept piling up. And it made me question myself. And at the end of the week, I'm thinking, hey, boys, there's nothing I got left. I'm not a guy that'll just die on the hill. I'm a guy that'll look at the facts and say, you know what, guys, you're right. There's no way in hell the Rams can win this game. There is not a way with all the injuries they've sustained up front. Their secondary, you got Darius Williams out. I think at this point, their best corner. There is no reason the Detroit Lions should drop this game tonight. Zero. And I think it'll be close, but there's only one outcome, and it's the Detroit Lions winning. I just don't see it any other way.
Yeah,
I just don't.
At the end of the day,
it would be wildly disappointing.
100% it would be. It is, and I say this, I let the people know this all the time. This is the NFL. Anyone can win any game at any time, any point. But with that being said, the Detroit Lions should win this game by 2 touchdowns. Go out there and dominate this Rams football team. I don't care. This is a top 5 offense in the NFL. I don't care what the Rams did on their defense. I do not care. They're down their corner number 1. This should be an absolutely I'm trying to think of the word here.
Just should be an ass whooping.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just say it.
Thank you.
An ass whooping.
Thank you.
Just say it.
Let's go, boys.
I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what you meant. Yeah,
that is exactly what I was looking for.
The only way that it won't be is the fact that the Rams have a coach like Sean McVay. That's the reason why I don't think it will be an ass whooping. But if you were to look, if the Rams didn't have Sean McVay, this should be a game that's probably to Booner's point, a 2-score game. So looking at the matchups, looking at everything, Dan Campbell, I think he's already proven a lot, especially beating Sean McVay in the playoffs with that high-stakes moment, being able to get the monkey off the back of the Detroit Lions back of winning the NFC North and now winning a playoff game. So now he opens the season up against arguably, and I don't think you can even argue it, a top 2 to 3 NFL coach. He gets this W. I know the Rams aren't at full strength, but this is a game where Sean McVay wins in these type of situations a lot. So Dan Campbell, there's no excuses, but I think he's going to find a way to just completely dominate this game up front for 4 quarters, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it. The Rams, I don't see an answer that they're going to have for the run game. I just don't see it happening.
That's the key to victory. We've talked about it. Last time we were together and we previewed this exact game. It was a bigger moment. It was a postseason game, but we still said the same thing. You have to stop Kyren Williams. It's so important. And you mentioned the stat, Boone, you brought up on the show live, that when he's under 80, it's a different team.
It's a completely different team. Under 80 yards. What were they? 7-1 last year under 80 yards.
When he started playing as well as he did last year before he went down, their offense switched up, how they utilize them. They started winning a bunch of games.
Yes.
So you're absolutely correct.
I'll say this too. There was breaking news today. Came out this morning. We had broke news a couple days ago on our platform on Twitter at Crunchtime at CT official CT, but it was known that Kelly Stafford was not going to be in attendance. The news came out today, and you know what happened? And this is the people. This is the Detroit fans. This is the people that did this. She saw everyone on the internet going at her because that she had put out there that she wasn't going to go. She was going to go fly home, be with the kids back in LA. She saw all the tweets, all the hate tweets, and she said, you know what? Last night she did her podcast in Royal Oak, and it came out. She's going to the game. Kelly Stafford's now going to be in attendance. She's trying. Look, you see, this is a battle in itself. Detroit Lions fans versus Kelly Stafford. That is like a rivalry itself now. It's formed a thing of its own now. So she's going to be there. The kids might not be there. There's a new thing. There's this thing that's going around, Jeff. Boo them kids. Have you heard that saying?
I have heard it.
You know what it is? Let's be real. Who's going to be in attendance tonight? Not the kids, Kelly. Boo Kelly Stafford. Get Kelly Stafford to want to leave the game early. I want Kelly Stafford walking to her private jet. An hour left in the football game. Boo Kelly Stafford. You can get that trending. Hashtag Boo Kelly Stafford. Or just hashtag Boo Kelly. She can figure out who we're talking about. And I guarantee you, Boo Kelly Stafford will start trending tonight.
Yeah, let her have a sob story on her podcast next Monday. Whatever she wants to do, I don't care. But just the environment that's going to be in Ford Field tonight, I think people are like, oh, it's going to be loud. It's going to create difficulty for the Rams. But I don't think some people, especially Rams fans and fans that are being watching from outside of Detroit, realize just how rowdy this environment's going to be. It's truly going to be a presence. Like on third down, fourth downs for the Rams, they're not going to be able to hear a damn thing. So when you block that out, the Lions, when they get momentum, it's just not going to stop. It's going to be so hard to stop the momentum of this game for Detroit. It's going to, like, Matthew Stafford is going to have to carry this team and then some with everything going on.
I have to mention this, and for anybody that's watching, that's going to the game, have a blast. I mean, I can't, that place is going to be absolutely electric. I know for a fact they're sold out. People I know, there's some people I know that are selling their tickets. I can't imagine the price of those tickets.
Oh my gosh.
But that place, and I think it's going to be further cemented this season. And please, anybody in the chat, you can chime in and share your thoughts. I don't know who would disagree with this statement. Ford Field is one of the, if not the toughest places to play. I know there's, stadiums with that championship aura, and they've won Super Bowls and Arrowhead, which I get. Very tough place to play, and you're factoring in outside in the weather. But Ford Field, this season, it'll be even more solidified. No one wants to play there. I just don't.
I've said it before.
And not as many people travel. I've been to a lot of Lions games in the past, man. Half the stadium was filled with the opposing team's fans. You don't see it really anymore.
Not at all. Like, Lions fans are not giving up tickets. They're giving up tickets to other Lions fans. I said this before last week, and this is where I think it's heading. You guys remember Seattle? When Seattle had the 12th man, when they were going on their runs, and Russell Wilson, and they won their Super Bowl?
Yep.
That is now in Detroit. Detroit is now the 12th man in the NFL. The fans show up, the fans show out. They are going to be there. They're going to be loud, and they're going to be rolling. Like, this is a legit home field advantage now. I would love, and I wish we could do it. We have like a false start counter on our stream here, because I would love to see how many false starts that this Detroit Lions fan base causes today. Because I think, hey, we talk about in gambling what away game or a home team gets 2 points or 2.5 points, something like 2 to 3 points. I think Detroit Lions, they should get more than 2.5 points, 3 points. They should get 4 or 5 points just because of the crowd. I think this crowd is going to be absolutely nuts tonight and Sunday Night Football. I bet you there's going to be some big names in town too. I'm excited to see that.
Chris Collinsworth.
Now,
here's a guy. And I mean, we talk about it too, the Lions primetime game. I can't remember, at least from the last season, where the Lions in a big moment in a primetime game didn't show up. So there's a lot of Lions fans that I think you can't even talk about SOL anymore. But now we're going to really be able to see what the framework of this team is built on, showing up in big moments against good quarterbacks, against elite playmakers on the outside. The question about this whole defense right now is, yes, secondary was the weakness last year. And now you added, and you honestly, on paper, probably have a top 15 at the bottom secondary. But how's it going to gel? And you got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, DeMarcus Robinson. They're coming into town. They're going to get tested. But like we said, this crowd, when Terrion Arnold makes a pass breakup, Ford Field is going to be fucking rocking. When Brian Branch makes a pass breakup or interception, force fumble, because Brian Branch is going to make a play, Ford Field is going to be fucking rocking. And another player that I can't wait to watch along with them, Amik fucking Robertson, because that's a guy that you want to talk about an Energizer Bunny. If you go back, the Raiders, obviously, the last couple of years have not been any good, but Amik Robertson, just one of those guys. They could be down by 14 points. He's making a play, and he's letting you know about it. So I think the secondary, they're going to make some plays, and the confidence it's going to get going, and you're going to see him gel pretty quick here. Obviously not going to be how in week 1, like it's how it's going to be in week 17, 18, and in the playoffs, but you get a good couple of series going for this Detroit Lions defense, it's going to be hard to overcome that. It's going to be very hard, especially when you have that offensive line going for the Lions.
That's easily the biggest, I think, storyline for the Lions week 1, to see what this defense looks like. Specifically, two parts. One for me more so than the other, and I know I'm probably in the minority with that. The secondary and the defensive line, for me, it's the defensive line. I know everyone's looking at the secondary. I get it. And I probably should be saying that as well. But for me, and at least from my narrative about the possibility of acquiring an edge at the trade deadline, I'm looking at those guys up front. I'm looking at the defensive line. DJ Reader, you're probably going to get some snaps. We'll see if I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but we'll get confirmation of that. But more so, Aiden, what does he look like in a year where you expect him to be a defensive player of the year candidate? Aleem McNeil in a contract year. Davenport, you gave him a 1-year deal. Maybe you see some James Houston. I'm more interested to see what those guys look like, because fellas, ultimately, if they're having success,
yes,
less pressure on Terrion Arnold when Matthews getting taken to the ground consistently. Less pressure on the rookie.
This is what it's going to be like all season long. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you see it, the teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, every single time you see a play made in these big games, it's one of their big-time stars.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson has to show up. Brian Branch, the B2 bomber, shows up. All of these guys, and to me on the offense, we have seen these guys on the offense show up. Amon-Ra St. Brown has shown up in big games. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, D-Mont, Jared Goff, we know Penei Sewell.
Yep.
Those guys have showed up. To me, the game like tonight and going into this year, when you're going to do a Super Bowl run, you need this defense to be a top 10 defense, and this thing's going to have to start turning just like the offense a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when that Green Bay Packers primetime game happened. You started seeing everything start to turn there when they finished the season 8-2. You need to see that out of the defense now. Aiden Hutchinson needs to take the step that the Amon-Ra St. Brown has. You know, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, he's a rookie. Still need to see him go out there and contribute because he's one of your star backs back there. And Kirby Joseph. Like, Kirby's got to go out there. He can't get beat. Like, I know a lot of people, and I'm a big Kirby fan. Kirby, he takes the ball away, but he's going to get beat sometimes. He needs to find ways to limit those to win games. And it's like that across the board. Marcus Davenport, show up.
Yeah, he's going to have so many one-on-ones.
Signed you for a reason.
Linemen.
Sign him for a reason. And you know what, too? I want to talk about this real quick. We haven't even mentioned this tonight, and I should be in jail for not mentioning this. The Booner Path, baby. The Booner Path starts tonight, 2024. Baby. We finally are officially off year 2 of the Booner Path. We are ready to roll, man. Last year, what people don't know,
you need this talk weapon.
The people don't know, when we made the Booner Path last year, it was, and Jeff, you argued with me on it a lot.
I did. Absolutely, I did.
The Booner Path, it wasn't a Super Bowl. It was, hey, this team can make the NFC Championship game, and you make that, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
This year,
what is it?
The Booner Path, the number 1 seed.
Talk to me.
And a Super Bowl for the Detroit Lions fans. And we will be marching down Woodward. Maybe they'll give us a float and we'll chuck Kool-Aid on the float all the way down Woodward. And we'll be down there come next February in the freezing cold. I don't care if I get pneumonia. I don't care if I get sick. I will drink Kool-Aid for every single Detroit Lions fan that asks for a Kool-Aid chug next year when we're sitting there at the end of the season down Woodward Avenue in a float, drinking Kool-Aid with the Lombardi Trophy,
leading from the front as well, Booner.
And leading from the front. Leading from the front. I cannot wait. The Booner Path, week 1, baby. Sunday Night Football. Let's go, boys.
Be rocking. It's going to be.
I had to bring the Booner Path up. That's all. That's all.
One thing, real quick, before we move on, Jeff, is you brought up DJ Reader, this defensive line, how huge they are.
Yep.
If you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, what happened today? They were upset at home against New England Patriots. The effect of DJ Reader that he can have on this team, I know he might not be full go today, but you look at Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback, they're going to be stacking the box. So you knew the Patriots are going to be running the ball. Ramondre Stevenson still had 25 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. So when you look at what DJ Reader means to an NFL defense, go look at what happened down in Cincinnati today and realize that, okay, now that's going to be the Lions had the number 1 or 2 rush defense in the NFL this year, even if he doesn't play, if he's on a snap count. This is going to be a suffocating defensive line moving forward. And the only way to beat this team defensively is offensively is you got to be able to run the rock. And I just don't see many teams that are going to be able to do it. especially this week.
It's going to be tough. I mean, and this offensive line's already injury riddled for the Rams. So how do you expect to run the ball as well as they expect to when you have the best one of the best run defenses? I think they were last year down the stretch. But regardless, a damn good run defense, a very good running back in Goff-Williams, but you're battling uphill essentially. Like that's what it comes down to. Now, I brought this up as a key, and this is what I'm looking for with the defense, and I'll reiterate it. You cannot miss tackles today under any circumstances. There are going to be moments, of course, they're human beings. You're going to miss some tackles. But if you have guys like Goff-Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, guys that can ultimately make you miss, and if you're not, and you already have Brian Branch, by the way, incredible tackler, defensive line, but if you're not making consistent tackles, these guys are going to make huge plays on you. In yards after the catch, Puka Nacua, he does that. So defensively, I'm looking for guys tackling upon contact. I mean, you cannot let these guys make a bigger play than what they're expected to, because Puka and Cooper Kupp, even if you're up 14 guys, I'm still going to be sitting there going, oh, let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they can score, boom, 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 touchdown. You go 3 and out, boom, boom, boom. Essentially, it could be a tied game.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why this Rams team is dangerous, although they do have a ton of injuries.
I do want to throw out there too, like you got to think about it. Terrion Arnold, I know he's a rookie, and this is going to be a big time environment for him. But with Terrion Arnold, he doesn't, like when he was at Alabama, he didn't miss tackles. Man, he hits hard.
It's Alabama
DB
DBs.
Not miss tackles. It was the same thing last year with Brian Branch. How Brian Branch just consistently he does not miss tackles, and I think that's like a big thing. It's the same thing with Ennis Rakeshaw. So when Ennis Rakeshaw is in the game, he's someone else too.
It's another one.
That was something coming out of college for him at Missouri, to where you can know, like, hey, he hits hard and he tackles and he doesn't miss. And the AG and those guys, when they drafted him, those were some of the bigger things that they're like, this is what we look for in our secondary. We want tough guys. We want guys who can tackle. And that's going to come up big today. I'm interested to see how Carlton Davis does. Kind of a new look for him. A whole new home. Maybe that kind of revitalizes his career a little bit, and he's able to take a big step forward. That battle is going to be, and I know we're going to get into that throughout the show, but that battle is going to be fun to watch. Puka Kupp versus Terrion and Carlton Davis.
I mean, you have a Meek in the slot, guys, and I asked this question, and it's more. I'm genuinely asking it because you have Cooper Kupp, who and Puka, who are essentially both guys. I mean, Puka plays bigger, but they're
he's
both
a big dude.
Yeah,
He's stocky. He's stocky.
Yeah, but they're both kind of just they're slot receivers.
Yeah,
but they can play outside. I don't know how you match up personnel wise, and I guess I'll ask you this, Lucas. If you're Aaron Glenn, who are you putting on who? Like who's the guy? Because you have a Meek who's your slot corner, very stingy. Great, I think he's solid in coverage. Dude competes, undersized a little bit height wise.
Yeah.
What would you do if you're Aaron Glenn in terms of matching up with these wide receivers?
And at least in my opinion, when looking at this team, it's pick your poison. Like if you have Carlton Davis shadowing Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, it's not going to make a difference because in my opinion, this is the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. So either way, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You can't win both matchups. So what I would try to do is just let everybody play in their spots, keep Terry on the left, Carlton on the right, however they have it planned up. But I wouldn't follow anybody. I think the key to this, like we said, is stopping the run. They're going to do what they want to do. Last year in the playoffs, they were able to limit Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua obviously went off. If there's anybody that I'd have shadowing, I'd have Brian Branch if you want to move him down to nickel situationally on third down and just keep him in the slot because Cooper Kupp or Puka is going to be in there eventually. You just bring Brian Branch down the slot and have a man up on whoever. But it's one of those things where you're not going to neutralize it. So just play your best defense out there, best 11 guys, and let them make plays. I don't think it really matters if you have anyone shadowing or not. If I had to pick one, you keep Carlton Davis on Cooper Kupp. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that's going to shut him down because you have Puka Nacua on the other side. It'd be different because both of them, like you said, they're built the same. It's not A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, I mean, you're facing a damn good player either way. So I'm with you. I don't think you have guys travel because ultimately, Terrion, it's not like you're trying to hide the guy. I mean, you're okay. You don't want to guard Puka? Okay, you can guard Cooper Kupp, a Triple Crown guy. It's essentially you don't want DeMarcus Robinson. I mean, you want the guy. Yeah. I mean, and no offense to DeMarcus Robinson, but
very fine playmaker.
Yeah. You want Terrion against one of the two, and probably both when you look at through the entirety of the game. That's why I believe getting to Matthew is so important.
But I mean, realistically, that's probably like where you talking about a matchup you have to win. It's got to be a Meek on Demarcus Robinson because you can't have 3 of those wide receivers going off. Because if you do that, this is just going to be a never-ending nosebleed. You got to clog one of those options. Demarcus Robinson obviously is not Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. You stop him, it's a very favorable situation. You can't stop him. Now there's 3 wide receivers in Kyren Williams for Matthew Stafford to attend to, and I just think that's something that no NFL defense can handle consistently.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is what it is, and it's like this in any sport. And you have 2 different phases to their team. You have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, and you have Kyren Williams in the rush game. You take one of those out, and you focus on taking one of those out. That's where you win the football game. That's literally it. That you take Kyren out, go ahead, let Puka and them do what they do. They're gonna struggle, and you're gonna be able to outscore them for sure. That defense is not going to stop your offense. So like, I just think I get the Demarcus Robinson because we have seen in the past the Rams go out there with their 3rd wide receiver and put absolute numbers up. But I think there's an opportunity to where it's like, hey, you know what? It's like this in basketball when you're sitting there and you're like, all right, they have a kid that can put up 50 points. I remember when I was coaching, we had a guy put up like 55 points, and we won the basketball game. We won the game because it was like, hey, go ahead, let this kid do what he does. We'll stop everything else. He can't outscore us and get 100 points by himself. It's the same thing here, in my opinion. And I know it's different because of the
same type
team
of concept,
game, but it's the concept of, hey, take Kyren out of the game, let Puka and them do their thing, or vice versa. Maybe they're looking at it and they're like, AG is so confident in their secondary now. They're like, hey, we're going to take Puka out of this game, make them beat us with Cooper Kupp, or take Cooper out and make them only beat you with Puka Nacua. Yeah. And like, that's where I think you have to find a way to take one of these guys out completely and make another guy step up. And that's where I think the key, at least for our defense, is. And you know what it starts with? Klotz, what did you say?
What's that, Boone?
Defensive line.
Yeah.
I think this is the most anticipating part of this whole team today. And I think a lot of Lions fans in the chat would agree with me, trying to figure out what this defensive line is going to look like. We know Aiden Hutchinson. You guys already know I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to be the defensive player of the year. But what do the other guys do? How healthy is DJ Reader? Aleem McNeil. He looked so – Aleem McNeil was on such an uphill trajectory before he got injured last year, and I want to see if he's back on that this year. I think that's something that we do need to keep an eye on. But then the Marcus Davenport, James Houston, we had these conversations about James Houston for the longest. That is he going to make the team? What's going to happen? And he showed out the last preseason game. Want to see what James Houston does. Levi Onwuzurike.
He's got to step up. If there's no DJ Reader, Levi O does have to have a game.
Yeah, so Levi O is one that needs to step up. I think that's the most anticipated position group on this football team heading into tonight is, does this defensive line finally turn things around? This has been the red flag and the red alert on Brad Holmes's card over the last 2 or 3 seasons is finding guys on this defensive line to produce outside of an Aleem McNeil and an Aiden Hutchinson. So if they can figure that out, guys, I think this defense can turn things around. Like if that defense and then that secondary gives them 2 more seconds, the defensive line gets a lot more help there. So I think like altogether, this defense, I just want to see a top 10 defense tonight.
Yeah, and I have confidence in it because you look at the personnel last year, and obviously it's different personnel. There's got to take mesh, but you look at just the secondary that they had last year. Booner, you just said it. You got to stop Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, one of them. Last year in the playoff game, Puka Nacua absolutely torched the Lions. 9 catches, 181 yards, and a touchdown. But then you scroll down. Cooper Kupp had 5 catches for 29 yards, and the Lions lost by 1 point. This Lions defense is much better, so Puka Nacua, have him go for 9 and 120 instead of 181. That's what I think will happen tonight. But Kyren Williams, he was also limited to 13 carries and 61 yards. So he was pretty much taken out of the game. Even in the receiving aspect, he had 1 catch for 9 yards. So this is a team that they know what the game plan is what Booner just said. Let one of those guys go off, limit everybody else. I don't see a way that doesn't happen again tonight, and probably even on a more significant level for the Lions defense.
Dan Miller, big shout out to him. I just saw on my phone, and we'll get it here in a little bit. We don't need because Booner has some other things he wants to share with the people. Dan Miller taking a photo of people rolling up to the stadium and people that are tailgating. That place is absolutely packed. Like
there it is.
And again, I mean, there it is for people that are watching. I mean, look at that place. People are already rolling in before the game. I don't see a single person wearing any yellow.
Nothing.
There is not one speck of yellow. I mean, that's impressive. I love it. We know Lions fans are going to show up, and hell yeah, they did.
You know what? I love Lions fans. Anyone watching here right now, I love all of you guys.
You know what, Boone? Pour me a glass.
There we go. Here
Well,
we
Get a
go.
glass
Hey,
of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you know what?
Where's the other
I
one?
need. It goes great with real American beer. I mean, let me
Does.
just get one of these.
Hand me that other glass.
We
Jeff.
need another glass
All
here.
right,
Everyone
I
get
mean,
your
this is,
Kool-Aid.
I
going
wanted
around.
to try it. I see the guy chug it so much. I thought, why not? Hey, that's his prerogative. I don't partake, but I'll have some of this.
Cheers, fellas.
All right, let's try it.
Sure. I can't. This is the thing too, and this is what the people need to know. I
Wow.
cannot drink the Kool-Aid. I see there's something in my Kool-Aid right now.
Yeah, it's
Little floaters.
I
actual
don't like that.
Kool-Aid.
That makes me mad. But I cannot mess with or drink the Kool-Aid. You guys can.
Bro's got
You guys can. I
Backwash
cannot
in his
drink the
Kool-Aid
Kool-Aid. I cannot drink the Kool-Aid until the Lions win. So that's me. You guys do what you want.
That's fair.
it's like a cheat meal or something.
I
Just stop
cannot.
backwashing the damn Kool-Aid.
I just
stuff,
sit
bro.
there. I just
Have
sit,
you washed this?
I had washed it. Let's say.
Nah,
Why
he
don't we
probably-
gotta get
Hey,
off
what
the
the hell?
topic
Bro
here?
refuses to put it in a dishwasher.
I wash it every. What are you talking about? Why are you trying to come at me on a
I'm
good
saying
moment
you're very,
here?
you're very
good moment
you're
here.
a very superstitious
I wash
guy.
it.
All right.
All right. This is a new one for this season.
Oh yeah, they did take
Trying
his
to
away
call
at the
me out here.
draft.
I just shared some Kool-Aid with you. What are we
chill
doing
out,
here?
Chill out. Ain't that serious.
Hey, Klotz, can you do me the biggest favor? Can you grab me a real American beer?
Right,
can?
right there.
Well, I want this
Oh,
is the
okay.
display.
Here
we got.
go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
sir.
grab myself another one. Boone,
Yeah,
you
we
want
got.
one?
That's the display case.
I'm waiting here for
Hold
a little
on,
bit.
I just want to crack
I'll
this.
have one in a little bit. Hey, shout out Real American.
Shout out.
Yeah, this.
Great time yesterday with the fellas down there in Ann Arbor.
Look at it.
I know it wasn't the best outcome for some of you guys, Boone. But
Yeah,
hey,
it's tough. We'll talk about that a different day. We got Lions today, boys.
We'll
Don't
get to
need it.
that. We'll get to that on tomorrow or
shout out
Tuesday.
Bucks. We'll holler, baby.
But boys, I want to transition here because Boone, you got some updates regarding the Lions in terms of roster moves, elevations with their practice squad. So let's put that on screen, and you could take from here.
I'll say this: the Lions put this out yesterday. Oh, I don't know if this worked out very well. Let me unshare this real quick. Let me pull this back here. I want to make sure we get this right.
Lock in, Boone. You're good. You're good.
I'm trying to figure this out here. I want to do it the right way, but it looks
It's
weird.
okay. Talk about it. It's all right.
Um,
You don't need to screw the graphic.
Yeah,
What
no,
happened?
we can get the graphic up here. It's in Slack. If someone could pull it up in Slack, I put it in Slack. Just scroll up a little
You're
bit.
good. So
So
what
there were some moves that were made. The Detroit Lions, they did announce. This is what's interesting to me because DJ Reader is someone who they said they're not sure kind of what's going to happen with DJ Reader. And 90 minutes before the game, so game time's about 8-something. We'll know within the next hour what the active roster looks like for the game today. But the Lions did announce they signed defensive lineman Chris Smith, who was with them during the preseason. He is a local kid too as well to the active roster. They elevated. This is interesting, guys, because you got to think Donovan Peoples-Jones was on the practice squad. Allen Robinson and Tim Patrick. They all were on the wide. They were all wide receivers on the practice squad. Tom Kennedy is the one that gets elevated, essentially, that probably will be suited up for the game today. Defensive lineman. And we all knew this was going to happen. Kyle Pecco was going to be the one that gets elevated. So that kind of makes you feel a little bit with Kyle Pecco and Chris Smith that DJ Reader potentially is not a go. At least that's my thought process on it. And I don't know what the people think on that, but you would have to feel that those are the two guys that are going to be in there for DJ Reader.
Yep.
And they're just not going to rush him back today. And they're going to say, let's take it slow. We feel comfortable with Levi we feel comfortable with Pecco and Chris Smith and Ali McNeil, and we'll move on with those guys. But the one that's interesting to me is the Tom Kennedy one.
Mm-hmm.
That means Tim Patrick isn't ready and Allen Robinson's not ready. And the third guy, Donovan Peoples-Jones
is just cooked.
is done.
He's
There's
cooked.
why is he on the practice squad?
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, but this is the thing. I'm completely for DJ Reader sitting out an extra week because at this point, you put Levi Onwuzurike out there, you're going to see his first game that he's returned from injury at least. And this is full go of Levi. And what a favorable matchup to be able to get some confidence going for him. Why risk DJ Reader, who's a guy that me, Jeff, Booner, we all agree, this is a guy that obviously you want to play him in the regular season. But during the December and January in the playoffs, that's when you want DJ Reader healthy. Look how we played against Derrick Henry and the Titans back when they were running for 2,000 yards a year. He was the guy that single-handedly almost shut that game down. So when you look at that, let DJ Reader sit out. We've heard all this hype about Levi Onwuzurike, and I'm ready to see if he can truly bring it. You put Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, and Marcus Davenport out there with a rotation. I don't think that's going to be something that you're feeling unconfident about. This is a defensive line that against this offensive line should dominate with or without DJ Reader. DJ Reader will be a boost to this defensive line, but they better be able to hold their own against this offensive line. So let DJ Reader sit out. If they want to put on a rotation, that's fine. But we're talking about a guy with DJ Reader that you're replacing Benito Jones and Isaiah Buggs with him. Don't throw that opportunity in the wind. Let that man get healthy and let him dominate when he returns.
Yeah, Kyle Pecco I like.
Yeah.
You know, he could play nose tackle. Tara Williams loves him. He seems to be a guy that, you know, even Aaron Glenn loves him. He's a veteran. He's played in this league. He's a guy you elevate for situations like this where DJ Reader could potentially be out. And again, Tom Kennedy falls in that same boat. He's just been around for so long. Like, they know what they're getting out of Tom Kennedy. And even though it's kind of a meme at this point, it is true. They trust the guy. So if Kyle Pecco's out there playing, Levi Onwuzurike, I'm sure will be playing regardless. I'm still confident they still have enough. Like this offensive line is so worn down by the Rams in terms of injuries. They're injury riddled. And Jonah Jackson, I don't know if this is true. Is he playing out of position?
That's the word. The word all week that he's been moved to center.
Yeah. So
I don't know if that is the case. Like that again,
luck.
if you're putting Levi, I don't care who's in there. They're immediately at an advantage in terms of making a play. Like Levi, I would trust wholeheartedly. I cannot believe I'm saying that today against the Rams offensive line. So he should hold his own at the minimum.
Here's a report Pride of Detroit put out earlier today. Jay Glazer reporting that Rams right tackle Havenstein is likely out today. So essentially both of their tackles are out. Jonah Jackson moves to center most likely. And I don't know how the rest will go, but I guess we'll probably know it as things get closer. But they are going through it on offensive line, trying to figure these things out and get this all settled. I'm interested to see, like, this is where the defensive line steps up. Levi should have a field day. James Houston gets in there, should have a field day. Davenport should have a field day. Aiden Hutchinson, field day. Ali McNeil, field day. These guys all should have a field day out there. It should be easy. Again, I had given out the bet, and you guys can still go do it. I think it's in FanDuel when I found it, but it is in there. It is plus 600 for the Detroit Lions to get 5 sacks, plus sacks here versus Los Angeles Rams. I think that hits. Last year, we kept chasing those, and we hit them a couple times, and we were up like 20 units just on that bet last season alone. Go get that bet right now because they are going to absolutely dominate this Rams offensive line. 5 sacks seems low.
I mean, it's very realistic. Matthew Stafford saw God in the playoff game last year when he was looking up at the lights. Matthew Stafford, any quarterback behind this offensive line, should not leave this game feeling confident about anything after this game. I don't care if there's nobody in the offensive line at the end of this game would be playing next week. Matthew Stafford should be shaken up. He should realistically, with the talent that's up front, with his linebacking core, with his safety room, Matthew Stafford should not finish this fucking game. Like, he should get sacked 6 or 7 times, like it's something out of NCAA 25. Like, this should not be a realistic looking game just because of how much there's a mismatch. If Matthew Stafford was seeing ghost and seeing God last year in the playoff game, today should be even worse. That's the way, because Matthew Stafford turns the ball over as it is because he's a guy that likes to take risks and take chances. Matthew Stafford, not only 5 sacks, there should be at least 3 turnovers in this game, and I think that's very likely. So knock that. If there's a bet with the amount of turnovers, the Lions, at least 1 forced fumble coming out of there, because if you're missing both of your tackles, even if it's James Houston, like, he has the advantage. Marcus Davenport has the advantage. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be double and triple teamed the whole time. So Matthew Stafford's going to be uncomfortable all night, and the Rams really have no chance if that's the case.
Well, speaking of being comfortable, I know a guy who wears 16 that'll be very comfortable today. It's Jared Goff. Guy's going to be protected. He's not going to get sniffed.
Can we do one thing?
I'll tell you what. If he's wearing cologne, those guys on the Lions will know what kind of cologne Matthew Stafford's wearing. No one's going to know what Jared Goff's wearing. Yeah. He's going to be protected. He's not going to get touched. And I'm telling you right now, Jared Goff and this offense, they're going to be expected today to just have their way. Now, I mentioned it, and we can get into some interesting matchups. I mean, we'll get to J-Mo in a little bit here, so don't worry. We'll get to J-Mo. But the point I want to bring up is the run game and how I foresee today being very, very, very one-sided in terms of running the football. I can see the Lions not only rushing for 100 yards, but rushing for 130, 140.
I would say 150 because think about
50. Dare I say they're going to run all over.
Do you think David Montgomery and or Jahmyr Gibbs can go over 75 yards? I think both of them could.
Yeah,
I could
100%. Yeah.
I don't see a way, especially with how David Montgomery runs. And I know I'm a guy who favors Jahmyr Gibbs, but when you look at just how soft and how young, like, you got Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. Those are arguably, outside of Byron Young, the Rams' best defensive players on their front seven, both starting in week 1. David Montgomery is going to abuse this front seven. The amount of yards after contact, the amount of missed tackles in between the tackles that David Montgomery is going to have, he's going to be averaging 5 to 6 yards a carry. So you're talking about on first down, you're looking at 1st and 10. Second down, you're looking at 2nd and 5. You're probably only going to be getting to 3rd and 4th downs a handful of time of this games if David Montgomery's having his way, which I fully expect to happen.
Can we do one thing before we move on? We'll start the offensive talk. I want this from the chat.
Okay.
Let's get the chants going. Jared Goff. Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
No.
Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
That's Booner's thing.
Jared Goff.
But
Come on. Hey, well, you can't chant it. That's your quarterback,
Hey,
right?
you know what?
That's fine.
Let's hear it, Jeff.
No, that's you were in the Lions.
Jared Goff.
He's
Jared
you know what?
Goff.
It's all you, Booner.
Everyone in the chat should be putting it right now.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
Absolutely. Everyone at Ford Field should be chanting it.
That's
Chant it when
all I want to hear.
Stafford
I want to see a million videos. I want to see everything about Jared Goff.
Yep.
Matthew Stafford tribute video. Guess what? Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
If there's a
Matthew
Stafford tribute
runs
video,
out.
there
I
should
want
not be one.
Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford touchdown somehow, some way. We want Jared Goff chants throughout the whole stadium. Anything that happens today, all we want is Jared Goff chants throughout the whole time. That is it.
Well, I'll tell
That's
you
all
what.
I want to hear.
I think I know one player those fans will be chanting. It's going to be Jameson Williams today.
Here we go.
Because
See that line, too? 39.5?
39 and a half.
I'm not-
You might as well. I mean, it's disrespectful. in a way.
I'm not commenting on the line until later, boys.
And we'll
Got
get to,
something
by
for
the
you.
way, for those who are tuning in, number one, we appreciate you. Number two, we do Booner's Bets. We'll get to that later towards the end of the show. By the way, this show and this programming on Sunday brought to you by Real American Beer. Go get a case.
Go get right here, baby.
They sell it. So
Great beer.
Go grab it. It's delicious. We're all drinking it today on the pregame show. But fellas, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Isaiah Williams, you're going to see a little bit of today.
I forgot
Sam
about
Laporta.
old Isaiah.
These weapons, at least in the passing game, they're hurt at DB. Tre'Davious White has 1 foot. I mean, he has an Achilles and ACL tear. The dude is, and I got a lot of respect for him when he was in his prime. I just don't know how much he has left to give at this point. So, in terms of the passing game, the Lions offensively, they're going to have their way, fellas. And you have guys like J-Mo who are expected to have a big year. You have guys like Booner, which he was right, questioning that back half of the wide receiver core.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect out of these weapons today against this weakened Rams secondary?
I'll say this. When we talked about the Rams offense, we talked about taking away different parts of that offense. You can't do that with the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You have too many. The Detroit Lions offense and Ben Johnson, they have too many weapons. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who you cannot stop him. You could do anything you want on defensively. You will not stop Amon-Ra St. Brown. He will still find a way to get 8 catches for 100 yards. That will happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah, it's guaranteed.
All right, try to take Amon-Ra St. Brown away. Now we got Sam Laporta. You can't stop him.
And who's covering Sam Laporta tonight?
No
Not
one.
a goddamn a jag.
And then you go to Jahmyr Gibbs. You try and stop those. Oh, you got Jahmyr Gibbs. Now you got David Montgomery. You have all of these different pieces. And the biggest one of them all that we've been talking about all summer that they added to this, because Josh Reynolds, it wasn't a guy to where it's like, yeah, there's Josh Reynolds. He wasn't a guy to where you're sitting there and you're like, you have to figure a way to stop him. Now you add Jameson Williams to this offense. It's like, all right, now you have to find a way to stop this guy who has the potential and the talent to be top 20 in the NFL at his position, to be one of the best in his position with his talent. His ceiling is one of the best that we've seen. And so you put all that together, there is no stopping this offense. There's zero way to stop this offense. And guys, I'll say this too, and Klotz, we talked about this a lot in the pre-season. Isaiah Williams, he is going to be a
got some juice now.
He's going to be a
some
problem.
Juice, bro.
As soon as he touches the ball, it's going to be tough. I think people are going to be a little shocked, maybe not shocked in Detroit, but outside of Detroit, people will be like, oh my gosh, who is this Isaiah Williams guys? Like, did Brad Holmes find him again? Like, I'll find another gem again. I think that's what it's going to be. I just don't see a way for this defense to be able, like you said, Jeff, these guys are beat down right now. They've made trades. They've lost different pieces. I don't see this defense being able to step up and stop this offense. Little tease ahead to the field to before. I had the Lions scoring 30+ points in tonight's game.
Yeah.
I think they go out there and put it.
I think it's very simply put like this.
I like it.
When I think last year when you were game playing for the Detroit Lions offense, you were like, okay, let Josh Reynolds go off because you know that at the end of the day, you know what he is. I don't think there's a defensive coordinator in the league, a head coach in the league that's like, let Jameson Williams go off. Because if you look, I mean, he's a guy that can take it from 20 yards, even if it's a run play, 40 yards, 60 yards, and 80 yards. Jameson Williams, you give him 4 touches, there's going to be one play, at least I think against this defense specifically, where it's good for 30 yards or more.
Right.
So he's a guy that you just upgrade your offense just with him on the field. Even if he doesn't have the huge stat line that everybody wants, the impact against this secondary, when Jameson Williams is out there, you're looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, but in the back of all these DBs' heads, like, I do not want to get cooked by fucking Jameson Williams. The safeties are going to have to line back farther. The DBs are just going to have to line differently when Jameson Williams is out there compared to a guy like Josh Reynolds, who is a very fine wide receiver in Detroit. But there's just levels to this game. And I think Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds, that's on full display talent-wise.
Yeah, and it's not, again, I think in JMO we've spoken about because of how much we do believe in his talent and his ability. And we align with Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, and what they think of his ability because they've spoken highly about him. He's impressed at training camp. There is pressure on him to go out today and make plays.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to say this now. If he ends the game with 2 for 20, we're not going to come on the show tomorrow. At least I'm not, and be like, it's great. It's a good debut. No. I expect JMO to get out there, get 4 catches, 5 catches, get 60, 70 yards. Maybe it's sprinkling a TD. Maybe they use him in the run game. Like, he is, he's getting to a point now in which I do think he will survive this, like, everyone has these expectations. Some people think he's a bust, or they think, at least at this point he's been a bust. And a lot of people think, his ability and what he can be. Like us, we do that a lot. I think he'll arise out of that, and everyone will just think of him as JMO, a great player. Yep. But it starts today. Like, go out there and show them. Show this secondary, this Rams secondary cannot hang with you. Mm-hmm. Not many people in the NFL can, quite frankly, with his speed. But it's today. It starts today. It's not one day. It's day one, boys. Get out there, go get 70 yards on 4 or 5 catches, and prove why you can be a solid wide receiver too. Prove why you can be the Devonta Smith to the A.J. Brown. Prove why you can be the Jalen Waddle to the Tyreek Hill. Whatever. Name me a duo, and I'll give you an example. But he's got to do that today. So I'm with you guys. I think he will. But the pressure's on him. I won't deny it. And he knows it. He probably puts a ton of pressure on himself.
Real quick, Boone, because I want to hear your answer to this too. Do you think the Lions, we were talking about this earlier at breakfast, do you think the Lions are going to be kind of in a position where they realize how weak the secondary is and they want to see what they can get out of JMO right away?
They should get him going early.
That's what I'm saying, where they're just like, let's get JMO going. Or do you think they're going to take what's given to him?
I think there's a sense of, hey, we need to get the guy going because the expectations for him. I don't think that's what the way they're thinking in their, like, it's hard to explain because, like, I think they were thinking that, like, hey, the Lions are going to need to get this guy going because his expectations. I just think they're going to go in there. Their plan all along was to get this guy going. Like, it has nothing to do with like, I don't think it has anything to do with, hey, this secondary is weak. We need to get him going. I think it's like, he is now a big time target on this offense. Like, we look at him as an absolute asset on this offense. We don't care anything about, hey, let's get him go. This guy is an asset. He is a big time asset on the top 5 offense of the Detroit Lions over the last 2 seasons. And they're just like, Ben Johnson's like, he loves this. There's a reason Ben Johnson didn't leave. Like, if he didn't think JMO was going to be there, he probably would have looked at him and been like, I'm not going to say like that's the main reason, but you're adding another piece to this where it's like, hey, we really can go win a Super Bowl because we're adding Jameson Williams. These guys are getting better. I think JMO is one of these guys, and I know some people think that, hey, maybe you have to see it before you can believe it with him. Guys, like, we saw him at training camp. We saw the plays.
All training camp, not just one day either. All training camp.
Every single time we were there, we were there for 6 days. Every single time. It wasn't just, he's just like a deep pass downfield. This guy's in the middle of the field in traffic on 4 different secondary
on their
players,
best corner,
up in the air, bringing down a catch for a 25-yard gain, coming down, getting tackled and hit while it's happening in training camp. He's out there. We see the videos get released, cutting people up and getting wide open. And Jared Goff, at this point, and I think this is a very, very underrated situation that people aren't talking about enough, how Jared Goff needed to kind of get a good feel. That's the thing with Jared Goff is he needs to get a good feel for receivers to kind of get in the rhythm with them. That was why him and Josh Reynolds were so good. Him and Amon-Ra have now been so good. Sam Laporta. He is now very, very used to Jameson Williams. And you saw in some of those videos and some of the plays when we were at camp, Jared Goff puts the ball, he knows where Jameson Williams is going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
He puts it in the only spot that Jameson Williams can get it. We saw the pass when he had that out route in the end zone, the corner of the end zone, and it was a perfect pass only to Jamo with the defender on his back. Like, that's where Jamo is going to be different, and I think they're going to look at this and be like, this guy is going to be a problem. And teams aren't going to be able to stop Amon-Ra and Jamo at the same time. So I don't know. I think they're looking at this like we just have another weapon. I don't think it has anything to do with, hey, let's get this guy going. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities tonight. I think you're looking at 6 to 7 targets, if not more, to Jameson Williams.
I agree with that.
And I think I heard some people be like, oh, maybe 3 or 4 or 5.
No, he should get more than that.
He is going to have an absolute game today to where he's going to have opportunities to, and we saw last year too. There were short routes and things that he made cuts, and he makes plays. So this guy can make plays as well. I'm excited to see what Jamo does.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the only thing that you can deny about Jameson Williams up to this point leading into the season is availability. Because if you look at production-wise, look around the NFL, some of the top 5 offense in the league. You look at the Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You look at this Cincinnati Bengals, the Rams tonight, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. You look at the San Francisco 49ers, ironically, just like the Lions, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. So if you look at a lot of these offenses throughout the NFL, you can't say, oh, well, Jameson Williams is not going to get fed because just the byproduct that he is. No, a lot of these top 5 offenses that have great running games too know how to get their playmakers the ball. I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill is going to, or Jameson Williams is going to be Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. But the people that are like, well, just by default, he's not going to be able to get good looks. No, that's not true. There's all these top 5 offenses around the league right now that have 2,000-yard wide receivers and a good run game. I don't think that Jameson Williams necessarily is going to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver, but the dude has the talent to be that. Will he ever reach it? We'll see. But Jameson Williams is a guy that's easily going to go out and get 700-800 yards this year. And it's also just a byproduct of the offense that he's in. This is a very fluid offense. Jared Goff and Jameson Williams, all that needed to happen, your guys' point, you just build that camaraderie. And Jared Goff, he's a guy that likes to go to targets that he can trust. Now when you're going to see Jameson Williams and Jared Goff start to get some trust between each other.
No, I just did real quick. I just looked up Josh Reynolds because he played in basically 16 games. Yep. I mean, he missed one, even though he was on the field, but he wasn't really a participant that much. So we'll just go with 16, okay? 16 divided by the total amount of targets he had, 64. It's about 4 targets a game, but he had targets, at least when you look at games 1 through 3, and we'll go even, 4, 5 even. He's in the 6, 7, 6, 5 target range a game, like targets.
Yes.
So that right off the rip, I mean, Josh Reynolds was getting 5, 6, 7 targets. And then you saw it kind of down the stretch decrease to about 3 and 4 when Jamo came back. And then obviously against Minnesota at the end of the year, he had 7 targets again. So to that point, Jamo should be seeing 6, 7 targets, I think, today. Now, I know Sam Laporta is going to get a similar amount, probably more. Amon-Ra going to get double-digit targets because he deserves it. But when you look at this wide receiver core, I mean, you just can't argue it. Last year, they had Jamo after 6 weeks, and they still targeted him 4 times. Who's that dude besides Amon-Ra and Jamo? Like, Khalif, I think, is very, very solid.
Very fine.
But he is, and he still at his age can be productive to whatever you expect him to be. But I don't think Khalif is someone that you're going to put a lot on his shoulders like that. Like throw him 5 targets a game. I could see like 2 targets to Khalif. Just get him some trick plays, get him involved. But Jamo, you drafted him in the first round to take on this type of workload, fellas. Yeah, this type of workload, he's built for it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Khalif thing because I do think there's a very underrated side of Khalif Raymond to where, like last year, you look at some of the games, 4 targets, 5 targets, 4 targets, 3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like he was getting targets, and I don't think Khalif Raymond, like he's not taking a step back.
No,
I just think Reynolds, like Jamo's going to fill into that Reynolds role, and people are like, oh, well, Booner, he's going to have more than that. He's going to have a lot more yak in yards after catch than Josh Reynolds did. And that's where Jameson Williams is going to be great. And you do got to think of on this side too, like Khalif Raymond is still going to get his. He had 490 yards last year. He had 500 the year before. I think Khalif is a big part. And I honestly, guys, we just did this whole offensive segment. That was the first time I heard Khalif Raymond, and I didn't even think of it either. And I think that's like a little secret weapon that the Lions have, that Khalif Raymond, he is one of the most reliable, trustworthy players on this offense. if we're being honest. And he is a leader. He is a captain. I don't know if he's a captain. Feels like he should be a captain on this football team.
Guys look up to him, especially in that wide receiver room.
Yes.
They follow Leaf and Amon-Ra.
So I still think that you're going to see guys like Khalif. Khalif's going to get 3 or 4 touches tonight. He's going to get touches tonight. And it's going to be whether it's in the air or on the ground. They're going to find a way to get Khalif the ball. Jamo is going to be the same way. There is the thing where people were like, well, like Booner, like Jamo's coming in. How are we going to split these? Ben Johnson is the best offensive coordinator in the entire NFL. He will find a way to get everyone their targets and to get everyone the ball. That was the conversation last year, guys. Like towards the as we got going into the season, I remember a lot of questions. We were doing mailbags and all of this was like, there's only one ball. Who's going to? And I remember going into the season and there was no one that complained. There was no questions about it. Even Jamo came back when he was supposed to be suspended. And he came in and like, remember that conversations when Jamo came back from suspension and everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's one ball, not enough for everyone. And they found a way to get him the rock. And as the year went on towards the playoffs and down the stretch, Jamo just kept getting more and more and more touches. And he started getting better and better. Like Ben Johnson's going to know, like if anyone's going to find a way and figure out how to get the guys their touches and split this thing up to go win a football game, it's going to be Ben Johnson. Like, who cares how many touches each guy gets? As long as you have more points than the other team at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And it's like, all right, if they start losing games and the offense is struggling because they're trying to get certain guys the ball at certain, then we can have that conversation. But I think, like, Jamo's going to get the touches. Khalif will. All these guys, I think Isaiah Williams, you're going to see get 2 or 3 touches tonight. Like, do you guys hear what Ben said last week? Or his press conference?
Which one? Which part?
He had mentioned, he said, They asked him, how are you going to get Sione Vaki involved? And he goes, listen, if a guy on offense, especially a weapon, is suited up on game day, there will be plays in the playbook for him. We are not going to have a guy on the roster who is a weapon, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end. We're not going to have. Yeah, he's not going to sit on the sideline.
Just kicking it.
He will touch the ball at some point in the game, whether it's a trick play, a punt return, whatever it is. He was like, we are going to find a way to use every single skill player that is active on Sunday. And that's where, like, Ben Johnson's so good.
He's the best.
He wants to make sure guys are fresh. Guys are out there. Like, you have to make sure these guys are locked in. And that's where, to me, I have full trust in Ben Johnson. If Jamo goes out there and gets 6 touches and Khalif gets 2 or vice versa, like, I'm like, all right, obviously you want Jamo more than 2. You guys see what I'm saying here. But I do trust Ben Johnson with that to find a way to use Jameson Williams, especially after a full off season.
Yeah, and I think what makes it so favorable for this offense too is all these skill positions, even down to like Brock Wright. They're all reliable and easy to get the ball to. When you compare even a guy like Jameson Williams to a Tim Patrick or to a Josh Reynolds, okay, you can't really get it to him through the air. Hand it off to Jameson Williams. Same thing with Khalif Raymond. Same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporte is obviously in a different category. But when you're a tight end, that's your quarterback safety blanket. And you look at how many tackles Sam Laporte can make, the ability he has in his route running game, and the reliability he has in his hands. To get these guys the ball, to scheme them up, it's really not that hard when you're Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's a great mind that he figures out what these players are good at and how to get them the ball and put them in the best positions. And when you have the playmakers like this, it's pretty damn easy to do compared to some other wide receivers and running backs around the league.
Yeah, and again, for the whole Ben Johnson stuff in this offense, they're going to be successful. I think this year they're going to have another top 5 offense. I think this year the Lions will win 13 games. I think they'll, contend and probably win be the number 1 seed, which will then give them home field advantage, which you desperately want. Now, I've made it very clear. There's steps. You win your division, then you go get that number 1 seed. Everything kind of coincides. Everything kind of goes into it. It ties together. All right. It all ties together. You win your division, you get the number 1 seed, you have home field advantage throughout the playoffs until the Super Bowl, and you just make it happen. What do you guys just kind of talk about it? Your expectations for this season, because ultimately they start today. They have to win today to go on that, at least what we think. We did it on Friday, get 13 wins.
I mean, when you look at 13 wins was what you thought. And then you look at the injury to Jordan Love. And then you look at how shaky, and I know it was his first game, how shaky Caleb Williams looked. Minnesota, they got some playmakers, but I think that's not even a question between Minnesota and Detroit who's going to win it. This division, you should without a doubt win the division. It shouldn't even be close at this point because Green Bay is going to fall 2 to 3 games back what they would be with Jordan Love. The Vikings, they're going to be at the bottom of the division. The Bears are just going to be a gritty type of team. The Lions win the NFC North, and you need to get that number 1 seed. At least you don't need to, but that should be the expectation, is getting number 1 seed because You got the Eagles, who look very good against the Packers, and the 49ers. We still got to see them, but they're going to be the 49ers. You know they're going to be very damn good. Lions, get the 1 seed and get to the fucking Super Bowl. I know that it sounds crazy because of the Detroit Lions, but when you look at the other teams, like even on national media, they're talking about the Detroit Lions. This is a team that is a legitimate Super Bowl threat. You made it to the NFC Championship game last year. You kept both of your coordinators, which if you look at all the other teams that have been in the NFC Championship, AFC Championship, obviously Kansas City kept both their guys, but the other team that are trying to challenge Kansas City, they lost a coordinator. Detroit somehow was able to manage to keep Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They need to pick up right where they left off and improve. And the only step that's farther than the NFC Championship game is a Super Bowl. So that's what it should be. 12 to 13 wins with the Packers being the way that they are. I think I'm going to bump my 12-win prediction to 13.
There we go.
I mean, you can have either A, Sean Clifford, or B, Malik Willis quarterbacking, and there's reports that they're trying to go after Jameson Winston. If you're telling me with Jordan Love, who even when he was playing, he was going like 50% completion percentage through that game, so he wasn't looking that good. I still think Jordan Love's a good quarterback, but the Packers are going to be in shambles. So I think the Lions, 13-win team, NFC North champions, and you're playing in the Super Bowl and you're beating the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I think expectations should be.
Listen,
I'm just saying, Boone.
They always hop on board.
They might get that broomstick out.
I'm
telling you, if the Packers, the first game they play, it's in Green Bay.
Yeah,
you might have Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill or whoever the backup is. By the time Jordan Love comes back, it'll be at Ford Field. And he's already going to be down, and that's in the head-to-head. He wasn't there, but I'm still calling it a head-to-head. It'll be 0-1.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
You have to get them brooms out,
and they're already 0-1, lost to the Eagles, an NFC opponent. Like, this is the fun part about the Detroit Lions being good now, is every game, not just the Lions games, the Eagles games, the Packers game, they all mean so much because you're not just fighting for a chance at the playoffs. Every single day, you're fighting for a chance at the 1 seed. Like the 49ers, we want the 49ers to lose every single game. You want the Packers to drop every game. You need the Eagles. Like these teams that are going to be competing for the 1 seed, like that's why the Eagles-Packers matchup was so like, all right, who do we obviously the division guy we want to lose. But like, all right, they're down 1. The Packers, that's tough for them. And then the Eagles, now they're 1-0 and they have the tiebreaker over. So it's just like every single game matters so much. 13 wins will get you the 1 seed.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions will get 13 wins. I guarantee that.
And it starts week 1 with 1. It just takes 1. You get 1 and then 2 and then 3 and so on and so forth.
Keep building.
Stack
the good days. Stack the good
days.
days.
Dan Campbell, I was just focused on the Rams. That's what he said. I just played just this week.
What did I say?
Be present. No Super Bowl talk about. We can do it.
What do I say?
But week 1 is all that matters, right?
I hope the people remember what my comments were earlier this week. Dan Campbell, listen. It is their job. It's Dan Campbell's job, and this is why we love Dan Campbell so much. He knows when people start to question him somehow. When I said 13 wins, you're like, this is a tough season. Dan Campbell, 1 game at a time. Don't get ahead of yourselves. He walked into the locker room a couple days ago, sat the guys down, and said, "Listen, who cares about Super Bowl? Quit talking about it in the press. Quit bringing it up. We don't want to talk Super Bowl now. We're talking about the next week at hand." Dan Campbell is so good at that. I told the people, put it on us. Put everything on us.
Path.
I'll talk about the Super Bowl.
From the front,
I'll talk about the Booner Path. I'll talk about the 1 seed. Let the players go out there and think about the Rams. We as a fan base will talk about the Super Bowl. We'll be the ones to handle it. Don't take all of that off their plate. They don't need it. Don't even bring it up to them. I hope no one. I'll talk to the doc too. Don't bring Super Bowl conversations into the conference room. Don't do it. Don't want to hear it. Let's let them think about 1 week at a time. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the Booner Path and going on and winning the whole thing here.
That's it.
Don't want them to think about it at all. Put it on me.
Well said. Oh, yeah.
Hey, why can't we do anything now these days? Grow up. We're supposed to be a professional program.
Hey, put it on him. Put it on, bro. Just put it on.
This is a professional program.
Speaking of this program, brought to you by Real American Beer. Like the stream.
I mean,
we got 185 people in here right now. Like the stream. After this, we're gonna have the live watch party. We're reacting to the Detroit Lions game as they boo Kelly Stafford and they absolutely maul the LA Rams. And then after, we have the post game stream. So before, during, and after, we got you covered.
We're live the whole time.
Like the stream, share the stream because I know There's some other stuff going on out there in the YouTube communities, but this is the best Detroit Lions content. Make sure you share this, and we'll give you the best product possible.
I'm not gonna lie, boys. We got a couple cases to finish here. I mean,
we
got a lot. Hey,
parties getting started, fellas.
We got the pregame, like you said. I mean, we got Real American Beer.
Shout out.
Crunch Time Sports, Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Rams. We're gonna have bets on the line, watching the game, hanging out, talking some ball. It's gonna be a blast. Right after the pregame show. So, like,
I just want to
be there right after.
I'm not drinking a beer yet. Pace yourself, fellas.
We got two.
All right, you especially. All right.
Why?
I was down in the gutter yesterday,
You
boys.
pace
Ann
yourself.
Harbor got the best of me yesterday.
I apologize. Pace yourself.
Hold on.
I've already seen Klotz is already 2. We've got. Hey, what time is it? 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're going till midnight, brother.
You're telling
Can't
the
wait.
guy who drove the boys home.
We're
to
going.
pace
We
himself.
are going. We are
I
going
can't
until
believe it.
midnight. Do the math. Figure it out. Pace yourself. We don't. Hey.
Bro's calling offensive shots right
I
now.
know. What is-
Absolutely.
what
Thinks
is he
he's
thinking?
Ben Johnson.
Someone's got to be Ben Johnson right here. I want to throw this up though, real quick, boys. I just want to say this.
All right.
Go full screen. with the boom.
QB1.
Full screen with the boom.
QB1
Yeah, that's
is
awesome.
ready for business. QB1 has reported to work.
Yeah, that's
He is
awesome.
ready to go. QB1 is ready to go. Here we go, boys. Let's roll.
I mean, that is the guy. By the way, that hat. Love the brown.
Yeah.
Old English D hat. I
That's
got one in my
It's like the
closet
car.
as
It
well.
looks like a little Carhartt action there.
Yeah, it's a great hat. I mean, he's locked in, and again, it doesn't mean it's not the same juice like facing the. I'm sure to him it is. I'm sure Jared comes off as like he's just Mr. He says every quarterback. It says everything perfectly. Sure, he's got a little bit of that. Like every time I face the Rams, I want to absolutely crush them.
Dude.
But the storyline just isn't. At least like they won the playoff game. They beat the Rams. Like, the Jared Goff chance happened when he did it. Like, now it's just like, all right, boys, let's just whoop these dudes and get out of here.
This man just got fucking paid. This man just got paid. So one, he's got that to live up to. But two, I don't think until Jared Goff wins a Super Bowl that he will ever be like, all right, let's just go out there and play. Because the year that he was traded, the Rams went and they won a fucking Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. And there's still conversations in Detroit. Well, who would you rather have as a quarterback, Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff? Jared Goff hears all that stuff. Jared Goff still hears people talking about the Rams. And if they get in the playoffs, they could very well easily win the NFC West, and they can be on their way to the Super Bowl. You know that the coach is what they have in Sean McVay. You know the quarterback that they have in Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
They can still do it. And I still think that Jared Goff forever will feel that pain, not even pain, but just that animosity towards the Rams, because he put them in a Super Bowl contending position, and they moved off of him. And now he's doing the same thing in Detroit, and he's in the better position. And he's still not going to, at least in 2023, 2024, I mean, he's in the better position. But it doesn't feel like it because Matthew Stafford won that Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
So I don't think he's ever going to be like, whew, until he goes out there and get that Lombardi.
Who? Dan Campbell?
Jared Goff.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jared
lock
Goff.
in.
What the
That's
fuck
all
are you
I
looking
want a
at?
professional program.
Yeah.
You need to lock in.
I love this. This is what I want. Hey, this is what it's about. Hey, this is what it's about. Team effort here. I fade out a little bit. You guys pull me
There
up.
we go.
You fade out. I pull you up. That's what it's about. I don't care. Come on. Let's go.
Come on, what?
Oh, we love you,
Let's get this thing
All
rolling
right.
here, man. We need to get more people. If you guys have friends, people, I know a lot of people are probably downtown right now, at the game, going to the game. Tell people to tune into the show here,
Absolutely.
man. Tune into us. We're gonna be live till 12 after midnight, probably till like 1 a.m. I'm sure it's gonna be a late night for the fellas. I can't wait though. I'm
Indeed.
pumped up.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, early morning. So we'll be up. Content will be posted. So please, home of everything. I don't even want to say one specific category.
I mean, I don't want to.
Detroit Lions coverage. It's all here.
I don't want to say this, but
It's so.
we should go live in the morning,
8
8 a.m.
I mean, we're
I would
gonna
be
be
down
we're
with
gonna
that
be
move.
doing.
I don't want to work until later in the day, boys. Maybe we're live in the morning.
Yeah, we want to talk to the people. I mean, we don't want to wait. We'll do a post game show, and then we'll do something tomorrow morning as well. But fellas, I mean, 6:30 at this point. Let's go a little around the NFL. Give a recap of what happened today, because I'll start this, and it's ironic. I'll just lead it off. Caleb Williams
Oh,
got
my
his
gosh.
first win as a rookie,
Talk about it.
Does
Jeff.
not count.
but he looks pretty rough.
He did.
He
did.
But again, guys, that's why the Bears were built the way they're built. Their defense is very good. We know that. And you kind of saw that on display today. Will Levis, 2 picks. He's got a lot of growing to do.
One was brutal, too.
And yeah, it was bad. I think he was averaging like 3.2 yards per attempt. So that's what happened. The Bears still got a win today. Josh Allen, those Cardinals were coming. And
they made it close too. That DJ Dallas return towards the end there.
They were in that game. I mean, you had the Colts almost pull it out. What do you guys think? Some of the things that happened today, some moments that stood out.
That Colts game hurt. That Colts game hurt. I understand. I'm very high on the Colts. They didn't win that game, but I think if you watching that game and just watching C.J. Stroud, he was C.J. Stroud, but you saw the potential that there is in Anthony Richardson with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had a hell of a game. That AFC South is not just going to be a toss-up for the Houston Texans. Another game that stood out to me was the Dolphins and the Jaguars, because the Jaguars, again, they were up early, but Travis Etienne fumbling at like the 1-yard line that could have sealed the game. But Javon Holland makes a play, forces a fumble. Tyreek Hill then on the next play has an 80-yard touchdown. When you look at that AFC South, I still think it's going to be Texans and Colts battling for the top of it, because obviously with the Titans today, first game, so we're not going to overreact with anything, but I just think there's a level in that division. It's going to be between the Texans and the Colts all year long.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I just want to throw this out with the Bears stuff. Jeff, I apologize, brother. It's going to be a long year for you. This Caleb Williams looked tough today. I mean, whoa.
Keenan Allen walking out of there hurt too.
I am not. I didn't. DJ Moore was in the 10 at some point. I don't know what happened with him, but it just like, I get it. They got bailed out. The Bears should have never won that game. I don't care how good your defense is or anything. That game looked rough. I'm like, compare that Bears team to what the Lions are going to do tonight, to what the Packers look like with Jordan Love. The Bears they've got a little ways to go, in my opinion. That's just me. They were not in that game at all until the fourth quarter, and they shouldn't have been in. Like, if they were playing any other team, probably besides the Tennessee Titans, that would have been a 40-point blowout. Like, if they were playing the Lions and they played like they did today, the Lions would take advantage of that and beat them by 40. The Packers would have done the same thing. I would even say Sam Darnold and the Vikings would have done the same thing to them today, and they would have beat them by 40. Like, they did not look good until the end, and they had 2 or 3 plays that flipped the momentum, and they had a pick six or a fumble picked up, or block punt, whatever it was. They had all these plays that turned things around. I see what you're pulling up over here. Listen, I don't think it has anything to do with Caleb Williams' debut. I just think it has to do with something that this was like last year with Justin Fields. There's the Bears hype. I will tell you what, the Bears will not be anything until Matt Eberflus is not the head coach anymore.
That's very fair.
Because today, as a head coach, you have to make sure your rookie quarterback gets a good debut. I just didn't feel like today, like there's any future. Like, there's a future, yes, but I was not pleased. If I was a Chicago Bears fan, that was brutal.
No, it was brutal. I'm not even going to, guys, and I'll just say this. Am I concerned? No. Because, I mean, if you want to bring up the last quarterback, at least that's gotten this type of hype, not even in terms of like the diva, people say diva when they refer to Caleb Williams, whatever it is. Andrew Luck wasn't that. But you know what Andrew Luck's debut was? Ironically, against the Bears, he was 23 of 45 for a 51% completion percentage, one passing TD, 3 picks. That was his debut. 300 yards.
He wasn't throwing to no fucking all-pro wide receivers. He might have had Ty,
but I'm just saying. And again, is he going to be Andrew Luck? Who knows? But my point is, guys, the debut thing. I'm not going to
Yeah, it's fair.
If Jaden Daniels struggles, I'm going to be like,
Jaden Daniels would never though. Is he playing right now? He's playing right now.
He's playing against the Bucs.
How is he looking right now? Oh, they're down 23-7. Yeah, that's tough.
But again, these guys are 21, 22-year-olds stepping up against grown-ass men that pay for they go out there and fight for their families.
Yeah.
They got to pay their mortgage too. Hey, I heard someone say this when they were referring to their team. They always say, hey, guys on the other side, they get paid too. All right. Those guys get paid too. Maybe not as much as Amon-Ra St. Brown or Penei Sewell, but they still get paid. Those guys on the Rams. But anyway, around the NFL, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Patriots. I mean, well, I don't know how or why or what.
The Ramondre Stevenson show. It was the Ramondre.
I don't
the
get
Stevenson show pulled into Cincinnati. I just think the Bengals, I think it was a concerning performance out of Baltimore because of the quarterback play with Lamar down the stretch, but the Bengals just on all 3 phases offensively put up what I feel. I don't even know if they scored in the first half. And then defensively, letting Ramondre Stevenson run all over you on special teams. Charlie Jones muffing a punt, setting Jacoby Brissett up for an easy field goal drive. The Bengals, they need to wake up because this is without a doubt
my division winner.
This is a Super Bowl caliber team when you look on paper, but this is just one of those teams where they lost Joe Mixon, they lost DJ Reader, they lost a couple guys up front as well. So they got to gel a little bit, and it doesn't help when T. Higgins is out doubtful and Jamar Chase is deciding, well, it's like, yeah, I think I'll play today. And then you really just don't show up against a team that the Bengals should have beaten at home by at least 10 points. I mean, the Patriots by the end of the year will be a bottom 2 to 3 team in the NFL.
One of their best defensive linemen is dealing with blood clots right now. Like that dude. I mean, and by the way, all prayers to him, but that's ridiculous, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said that the Bengals should have won by 10 points. They should have won by two scores. Like they should have just had their way with the Patriots.
Yes.
Like now they're gonna face Baltimore and Lamar. Say what you want, they would smoke the Bengals right now.
Yeah.
There's no way. I don't care if Lamar's missing reads.
The Steelers would dominate the Bengals.
That's embarrassing.
The Bengals,
that's embarrassing. So
the Bengals right now are on their way to be third in that division, maybe fourth. Like the Browns probably. Like if I was to like after today be like, all right, I get another chance at picking this division, I'd probably put the Bengals down there. That was a tough game. Brutal for them.
Yeah, Browns getting fucking steamrolled too. That was my most confident pick of the week, bro.
Yeah, I told you, Cowboys, man. Cowboys bring everyone back.
And Dak isn't even Dak. By the way, we haven't talked about it. Dak getting re-signed to $60 million before the game starts today, and he hasn't even been going off. He has like 156 passing yards, which is one of those things where the Cowboys
winning football games.
They're making plays on offense, defense, and special teams. But this is the Cowboys that you expect and you see. You remember last year they blew out the Giants on prime time, like 40-3. Now they're doing it to the Browns. Browns obviously a better team than the Giants. But this is just what the Cowboys do in the regular season. So we're going to see all the hype. But at the end of the day, their running back is Ezekiel Elliott. Their offensive line lost Tyron Smith. They don't have Dan Quinn on offense side of the ball. I just think we are truly seeing the worst trade in NFL history unfold in front of our eyes with Deshaun Watson. Without a doubt, the worst one. He's got the most guaranteed money. He's the only quarterback in NFL history, player in general, with a fully guaranteed contract, and especially to that magnitude. It's insane. The Browns, I couldn't imagine being a Browns fan because you made a playoff with Baker Mayfield. You won a playoff game. And then you move on to Deshaun Watson, who at the time looked like he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And now you are just sitting in the exact same spot that you have been for the last 20 to 30 years, where it's week 1, you're getting your teeth kicked in, and it just looks rough. And it's terrible because this is when outside of Deshaun Watson, this is a roster that can go and win a Super Bowl. So it's terrible to watch what's happening in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Dak Prescott signing a big contract, $60 million, 4-year deal, $240 million, $230 of it guaranteed. That's wild. And I want to mention too, Micah Parsons still hasn't been signed, and they're going to go through that this offseason.
Don't know if they're going to be able to.
Well, I was going to say,
they have to find a way.
Well, think about it. CeeDee Lamb is what, 30-ish million. You have Dak. Them together is basically $100 million. You're talking about damn near 130, 140 million between 3 players. It's about half your available salary cap.
They went all in.
They
did go all in.
They paid everyone.
You're not going to be able to keep the offensive line that kept the Cowboys as good as they were when Dak was a young buck. You're not going to have that offensive line. You don't have prime Zeke. Zeke is, he got 8 for 35. He looks like old Zeke right now. But you're not going to have the necessary the necessities that Dak needs to succeed. You're going to be blowing your money on 3 guys.
This is the NFC right now. Is you have teams like the Dallas Cowboys who are putting all and I know the Lions are going to spend a lot of money. Has Jerry Jones drafted
Jerry Jones drafts talent? No, he does.
I'm talking about and keep the build from the back end up.
I think that's the one thing where you talk about in the offseason, Jerry Noble. You look at he drafted Zach Martin. He drafted Tyron Smith.
But are we talking about Brad Holmes type picks?
I mean, maybe not in the later rounds, but
he's drafted some.
Jerry Jones. Yeah. I mean, in the last probably 10 years, he's probably drafted the most Pro Bowlers in the NFL.
All right,
but they got nothing from.
But to what you're saying, okay, that's fine. But they have so much of that to replace because they expected all this talent to win by now.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to crumble down. Like they're now going to have to restart it all again. In my opinion, we're going to see the Cowboys in their Tony Romo, Des Bryant days, where they had Orlando Scandrick in their secondary and they were getting absolutely cooked. But they had DeMarcus Ware, so they had somebody, a dude up front. I don't think this Dallas Cowboys team, when they go up against a legitimate team in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to fucking dick roll the Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers, all these teams. The Cowboys just truly don't have a path. I mean, you have Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle as your running back. I love Rico. I love Rico as a little gadget running back. But when you talk about in the playoffs, what do you need to be able to do? Be able to run the ball and stop the run. And it does not look like, in my opinion, going into this season, the Cowboys are going to be able to do either of that against upper echelon teams. The Cowboys or the Browns are just being the Browns right now. Like, it's the same old Browns in Cleveland. And with Deshaun Watson, it looks like that's just going to be what they are. But you look around the NFL, or specifically in the NFC, they're just different teams, especially at home. Like the Lions, they would never play like this, like how Cleveland is at home right now. It just wouldn't happen. I think you could say the same thing for the rest of the NFC powerhouses, even down to like a team like Seattle. Like Seattle is going to give Dallas troubles. I just think Cleveland's find a way to lose this game in crazy fashion.
Yeah, and curious to see him now. I mean, you mentioned the Browns, AFC, but the Cowboys we mentioned earlier, though, NFC. The future of the NFC. We went through a couple teams that played this week already. I mean, we talked about the Packers, the Cowboys, mentioned the Eagles, so on and so forth. I want to ask you guys some keys to victory for the Detroit Lions tonight against the Rams. We talked about this on Friday, but kind of reiterate it for people that are just joining. What are some must-dos in order to win tonight, or at least in an hour and a half? It's actually getting closer.
It's crazy.
It is.
Crazy
It's getting closer. What? Give me some keys, Boone. I'll start with you. Give me some keys to victory.
I mean, I think this is obvious. The number one, and I mean, this sets me up because I say this every year. I said it Friday.
Mm-hmm.
What is
I already know it's coming.
Turnovers, baby.
It's a battle.
I want to see the ball get taken away from Matthew Stafford. I want to see Kyren Williams fumble the ball. Go steal possessions from this team. I think the biggest thing, too, and this was something we all agreed on Friday. We've already talked about it today on the show, is stopping Kyren Williams. You hold this guy under 80 yards rushing. I don't care what Blake Corum does. I don't care what anyone else does. If you hold Kyren Williams under 80 rushing yards tonight, you win this football game by 2 scores. They have to get – that's one of their things is, hey, let's get our run game going so it opens up Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. That's the only way they do it against a defense like this. That's how they're going to have to go about it. And if you stop that, Aleem McNeil, you had the number 2 rush defense in the entire NFL yesterday or last year. You have to go out there and do that again this year. You have to go out and have the number 1 rush defense. Repeat what you did there. And I think that, honestly, that's the biggest thing today. Like Levi, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson, those linebackers filling those holes, stopping Kyren Williams tonight. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest key to this game, is going to do that. Go out there and dominate in the run game defensively. And if you did, and honestly, it's the run game both sides. Because if you're rushing all over them with if D-Mont goes out there instantly and gets rolling, this offense is unstoppable. I don't care. Like Jameer, I want Jameer. Klotz and I talked about it this morning. When D-Mont gets going, and you have D-Mont, and then you have Gibbs coming in.
Oh, really? Klotz?
We had a conversation.
The narrative that I hate David Montgomery is so fucking egregious.
You just like Gibbs so much. I just tease you about David Montgomery.
So once you get D-Mont going, and he most likely opens the game up. But once he gets going, this offense there is no stopping it. Nothing. You're not stopping this offense. So that's where I think the biggest key to this game, run. Rush defense, rush offense. Dominate in the run game, you win the football game by 2 possessions.
And you know what, a player, real quick before you go, Klotz, you know a player I'm dialed in today because of what you said, Boone, some of the keys, and I think he's got upside to do all of these things. Jack Campbell. You look at
not Alex Anzalone, huh?
Well, yeah, he the linebackers.
All right.
I'll do that.
Right.
But specifically the guy who has a lot more expectations. We know what Anzalone is. Anzalone's good. You know, he's very good, actually. I'm talking about the guy.
Disrespect.
He's good. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm talking about the guy that has the pressure in terms of what will he do this year, next year? What will he be? Jack Campbell, I think, against the run, we know how good he is. He has the ball cover skills, the coverage skills, to take a ball away, Boone, force fumbles.
Yes.
And the dude tackles, and he doesn't miss tackles, which is kind of teasing into what I'll reiterate when I get to my keys. But Jack Campbell, I'll be watching, Klotzy. And Anzalone.
I mean, I agree with you. The linebackers be able to run the ball with David Montgomery, especially just because how weak this front seven is going to be for the Rams to tackle the ball compared to other ones. But I think another huge key is what do you got to do? You got to not stop, but limit either Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. So this secondary, in my opinion, Aaron Glenn, he's finally got an actual unit on that secondary. And I think they go out, they don't have to lock them down, but you hold your own, that front seven will do their job. If you just keep getting nuked in the back end, the Rams are going to hang around in this game. So the secondary, Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, but even behind them, guys like Ennis Rakestraw and Amik Robertson, step up, show up, because that safety room, I know they're going to show up. Those cornerbacks specifically, though, hold your own today because they have all the talent to do so. Like I said, they're not going to lock down that wide receiver duo, but limit them. And this is a walk into the park for the Detroit Lions as far as the W goes.
I'll add my key, and I have already said you can't miss too many tackles against the Rams. It's so important. that you are efficient today. And I know Aaron Glenn's probably said something similar because it's obvious given the talent the Rams have offensively. And the turnover battle is spot on. Slowing Kyron Williams down, spot on. There's a lot of things. Sacking, Operation Sack Stafford. We talked about it on Friday. It's in full. It's official. Dude, full go.
Yes.
Lock in. And we talked about the defensive line earlier. You got to get this man down. I mean, to the ground. What would you say? I mean, at least four times. I mean, you might as well sprinkle a little bit on that 5-sack bet that they probably have everywhere. Bet US, FanDuel, anywhere. But they got to get after Stafford. They got to make him uncomfortable. They got to at least slow the run game down. And I know ETN, who's in the chat, very, very loyal member. You would even agree with that, ETN. You slow down Kyron Williams, and the rest will kind of just take care of itself. They'll still score points, but they'll make their offense one-dimensional, more predictable, allowing AG to just kind of have fun out there and just be like, all right, they're dropping back. We know they can't run the ball. And you'll just kind of begin to suffocate at that point. And guys are just rushing the passer, just full go. And that's why, I think today, taking care of the football, because if you're giving a team like the Rams with all these injuries free possessions, you just can't do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about Jarrett. I'm talking about in general, fumbling the ball, penalties, costly penalties, like that stuff that I think week one, I know it's tough. You saw the Kansas City game against the Ravens, these dumb penalties. I know week one's always tough for that. But I know we're asking for like a damn perfect game, but really not. Just don't go out there and shoot yourself in the foot.
Smart football.
Yeah,
you're contending.
You cannot shoot yourself in the foot against a team that. What are they favored by at this point? I mean,
4.5.
The line, okay, 4.5. They're better than that line. Just don't.
They are. This is the thing too. It's you're a contending team. There's like we've seen in years past with Dan Campbell, first two seasons, you lose because you're shooting yourself in the foot. There's dumb penalties. You're bad decisions. You're not making the right plays. That's what you stay away from in a game like today. Like you have to stay away from that, and you have to find a way. Like, hey, you're now one of the best teams in the NFL. You don't see the Chiefs making dumb plays and having dumb penalties.
Discipline.
Very, very disciplined football. I think Dan Campbell now, like throughout his time here, he has put that into people's minds, embedded that into how the way these guys play, and they know that. Like they know what it is. I do want to say this too. Like another key to this game, and we had mentioned it at some point this season or this week, making sure Jared Goff stays clean. Like you have to let Jared. I don't want to see any grass, any stain, nothing. I know you're playing on turf, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You don't want him to smell his cologne.
Not at all. I want Jared
Gus,
Goff.
I think
to
Gus
just
says that.
Standing there in a pocket, nice and healthy. You look at this D line they have: Braden Fisk, Robbie Brown, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse. Like they have
young guys.
They have young guys. And last year, some of these guys outside obviously Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, who they drafted, they were making plays last year. Even versus Jared Goff, like they were out there making plays, and they were getting better and better and better throughout the season as they got going. And obviously, you lose Aaron Donald, but like a Kobe Turner, like these guys, these guys can play.
Bobby
football.
Brown, baby.
These guys can play football. So like this offensive line, like Kevin Zeitler, this is his first time in the Detroit Lions uniform going out there, and like, hey, there's an expectation for Kevin Zeitler. Like this is the best offensive line in football. We don't give up sacks. Figure it out. Taylor
I think
Decker,
he's going to fit perfectly.
He will.
But continue.
And I think like Taylor Decker last year gives up 9 sacks. Like you got to limit those. Like that has to go down.
Yep.
You like guys have to get on a different level here. And I think like Frank, I trust Frank and Panay, Graham Glasgow, incredible when he filled in last year. And I think I expect the same out of him this year. And we haven't heard much about him, which is a good thing this offseason. But I do think like this whole offensive line, show you're the number one offensive line. Keep Jared Goff nice and clean. We know he's one of the best play action quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Go out there and give him the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Like he does not need to be touched at all tonight. And this is we really haven't talked about that defensive line with the Rams yet. It's going to be a challenge. Like
I disagree.
You were like that last year, and then they went out there.
But Aaron, I think losing
just because guys aren't Pro Bowlers doesn't mean these guys can play football. This is a decent defensive line.
I think decent is fine, but challenge. I think that there is no reason this Lions offensive line shouldn't dominate. Well, we say chat. Like I don't think like you think it's a challenge.
They're going to dominate. This is a matchup.
This should be a game where Jared Goff maybe gets sacked once, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong for bringing up the concern of the defensive line can get there, but what I'm saying is this offensive line shouldn't even give up a sack. Personnel wise, 5 for 5, 5 for 4, whatever you want matched up with the defensive line. I don't see one position where the Rams have an edge. Last year, I'd hear you out because Aaron Donald, but even guys like Kobe Turner, they had Aaron Donald there. That's like asking Aiden Hutchinson, and you got Marcus Davenport on the other side. So this Los Angeles Rams defense on the front seven, losing Aaron Donald, losing Raheem Morris, I don't think it should be a challenge for this offensive line. Well, you're talking about the defensive coordinator, the guy who's drawing up the play, and arguably the best defensive player in NFL
ignore the whole
history.
defensive line that they have. Their secondary is trash. The D-line is a little – they have some guys that can step up.
But, I mean, you're talking about we named off 2 rookies. They're going up against Braden Fisk going up an all-pro center and Frank Ragnow, and a Pro Bowl guard in Kevin Zeitler. Jared Verse, he could be a great player. He's going up against a Pro Bowl caliber tackle in Taylor Decker and an all-pro caliber tackle in Penei Sewell. These guys should keep Jared absolutely clean. I don't think this should be a challenge. This offensive line should walk in there and dominate without any question.
And I'll say I'm aligned with Boone. I mean, I get your points, like the youth. I get it, but that also, I mean, these guys don't know what they don't know. They're just going to go out there and play with like chickens with their head cut off and just absolutely go berserk because they don't have. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They don't. It's not. I'm not going to say they don't have anything to lose.
It's not a challenge. None of these guys will crack 5 sacks this season. These guys are all bums. Not a challenge.
There's a couple of Jags out there.
No, we're in the NFL. None of these guys will crack 5 sacks.
I'm going to be honest. Braden, Jared Verse, those guys are Jags, and you know they're not Jags.
No, he's just trying to. I know what he's doing here.
Byron Murphy, not a Jag.
But they have. What I'm saying is when you're going up against an offensive line like this, they're going to look like Jags.
Kobe Turner,
like Michael. What did Micah Parsons do against the Detroit Lions? What did Nick Bosa do against the Detroit Lions?
I think you're misinterpreting what we're saying. Like, this is the best offensive line in the NFL.
Exactly. That's
what I said this whole time, and you said, Booner, I disagree. They should dominate these guys.
Yes.
You should dominate them. That doesn't mean they're not bad. This is a defensive line that's going to be this in 17-game season this year. They're going to put numbers up. Like, this defensive line isn't just any order. Like, they have some guys. They drafted 2 guys in the first couple rounds for a reason. These are guys who can play football. Like, these aren't just going to walk in the street guys coming off the.
But
you should dominate them, and they will. That's why protect.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a challenge.
Costs.
Like, the reason why I said I disagree is when you said it's going to be a challenge for this offensive line. That's where I just said I disagree. Like, I think this offensive line is going to handle them just fine. That's the only part.
That's where you see it differently.
Like, I think there might be a single sack on Jared Goff.
And that's about, I think, I'm going to be honest, I think that's about what they average. Like, I'm talking about the Lions giving up. Like, probably give up, like, at worst, like 2
a game?
sacks. Yeah.
Probably. I would love to see the stat on that.
I don't think they give up. I mean, how many times did Jared get sacked last season?
Not much.
So, like,
especially in the run game.
But I'm talking, I guess, not in terms of sacks, but just in terms of pressure. I don't think there'll be a ton of it. But when you look at this Rams defense, that's what you point at. You're like, okay, just get those guys. And again, I think that goes on the Lions offense, setting up play action, running the football effectively, neutralizing those guys. Like, a lot goes into it. But Dan's even admitted it. It's their best unit. It's still something to watch, but you have so much faith in who they have that they won't really
30 times last year, so essentially 2 times a game.
Yeah, so you said once. I mean, that's about half of what they average a game. So, yeah, I mean, you never know. I see some people, someone even put in here that even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Huh? Come on. Hey, is that not a bar or no? Is that a bar?
A lion squirrel?
I said even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
There you go.
So you never know. Gotta stay locked in. But this offensive line, probably the healthiest it'll be. Anybody on the team at this point, for the most part, besides a couple guys. So get out there and get after it. All right, fellas. It is 8 minutes till 7:00, and Boone. When are we talking about? Just let me know. Let the people know. When are we diving into Booner's bets?
I want to know when the people. What else do we have here? Do we have anything?
We did our keys. It's almost 7:00. Let's make the people some damn money. I mean, can we make the people some damn money?
We can do that. Hold on, let me pull these up. Man.
All right, he said we could do that. All right, for those who don't know, Booner's bets. Do it Fridays for the weekend. He saves his Lions ones on game day on our pregame show. So if you guys are betting, Bet US, FanDuel, check it out. Place your bets. Booner, what do you got? What do you got for today? I'm curious. What do you got for today?
So
talk to me.
If you guys didn't know, last year what we do, we have 3 different ways that we bet here these Lions games. We have the legacy player of the game. And last year, I believe it went 14-3. I guess we could go back and track that. I don't want to go back and rewatch some of those plays, give some people some views. So let's say 14-3, maybe 13-4. And then we do that was the legacy player. Booner's lay of the day for the Detroit Lions parlay. We have the lay of the day, and then also on top of that, do we have breaking news? We do have breaking news. Why don't we do the breaking news?
Let's save the Booners.
We got breaking news. We got to
do
this.
We got to get to breaking news. No, we can do it in a little bit here. Let's see. I just want to share this with the people. Breaking news, Kyle Meineke. I see it. He put it out on X. So did a lot of other people here locally.
Oh, we've got the whole inactives list here. We could pull that up. Oh, my gosh. This is interesting. Yeah.
So send me the inactive. You see Kyle Meineke, sweet DJ Reader's debut. We'll have to wait another week. He's inactive tonight along with James Houston, Ife Melifonwu, Lauren Strickland, Trevor Nowaski, Colby Sorsdahl, and Giovanni Manu. And we'll get the full inactive list for you guys so we can put it on the screen. But
just sent it to you there, Jeff. That's
okay. Let me put this on the screen for everyone here. But big news, DJ Reader, no go.
Yeah, I mean that's big. That's huge. So we know DJ Reader's out. I think it's just more so give the guys some time.
Yeah, I said that on the show.
And I think Kyle Pecco probably gives you a little bit more than a limited DJ Reader. And I'm not saying limited as hurt, just like a limited snaps to where it's like, hey, if you get to a point where it's like, hey, we can't play DJ Reader anymore, and a guy needs he's already hit his snap count, and when a guy needs a break, and Levi O needs to come out, or Aleem needs to come out, and you need then it's like, all right, what are we doing? We need someone who's able to play the full game. So Kyle Pecco obviously is going to be the one that gets that. Ife Melifonwu, I think we knew that was coming. Lauren Strickland, we knew that was coming. I think this is the most surprising one of them more. James Houston. James Houston's out for today.
I'm surprised.
That one's shocking. I was expecting a James Houston to be available. Trevor Nowaski, shout out Saginaw Valley. Giovanni Manu, we expect him. And Colby, I kind of expected that. I'm not obviously you want him as a backup, but I just think like those guys right now are pretty similar kind of in stature of some of those vets and stuff on the offensive line. So I would say with Colby, I'm not shocked at all. I just think that, hey, whoever they feel is the best at the time will be the backup offensive lineman. I just think the James Houston thing.
I am surprised. I did you hear, and Booner, you obviously are more dialed into this stuff. I rely on you. Did you see anything with James Houston in terms of this being a possibility? Why would it be? I know the inactive list, they make some guys inactive. Is it because James Houston up and down training camp? They got a lot of defensive linemen. Probably that's the case. I'm assuming they got a lot of defensive linemen they're activating. He's a guy that like, listen, James, it's weird for a guy that is as good as he is. You know what I mean? Maybe the preseason, it hasn't been great for him.
In my mind, I think what it is, and this is just completely honesty, I just think they look at some matchups and they're going to look at, hey, what are our packages going to look like? They feel probably more comfortable with Josh Pascal and Levi O kind of going outside a little bit more, and they feel comfortable with Marcus Davenport. And you know what? Someone that people really aren't going to talk about in that Sam position. Like Derek Barnes coming off the edge now. Like those are situations where they think Derek Barnes is better off the edge right now than probably James Houston for the matchup tonight. So you're going to see different guys like not even Derek Barnes, but Neiman. Didn't Ben Neiman?
Oh yeah, they kept Neiman.
They feel like he probably can play some Sam and come off the edge. Like they have some guys in that linebacking room who are going to be playing that Sam spot and coming off the edge and Ben and AG has talked about it already. Like that's how they're going to look at it every week. Like they have the flexibility to move guys up and down and keep guys keep James Houston on the roster, but he's inactive. Like, so I that's where my mind goes with it. I just think they feel comfortable with Derek Barnes, Josh Pascal maybe outside, Levi O outside, and then they'll kind of roll with that. But
I'm going to be honest, and I'll just say this. And it's not like I expect this player to go out there and wreck the game, but I think Kyle Pecco. He's just solid. Yeah. I think he's a solid player to have. Like, I think that's a guy you're like, okay, he's fine. I don't have to worry about him.
I think what this is, when I look at this is like, okay, James Houston, what is he very good at? Getting to the passer. But what is his weakness? Stopping the run. So when you look at, okay, James Houston is inactive, but guys like Kyle Pecco are active, this is telling you right now that Aaron Glenn, this defense, is prioritizing stopping the run because they have faith, like Booner said, with Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike, Derek Barnes, Marcus Davenport. They're going to win their one-on-ones. But where do we need to stop this? Jonah Jackson's playing center. How many times has he played center in his NFL
I don't
career?
think he's ever played center.
I not in the NFL. He definitely hasn't for the Detroit Lions because Frank Ragnow has been here. And then when Frank got hurt, you got Graham Glasgow. So when you look at it, put as much pressure in that interior, create that interior pressure inside the pocket to make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable. Yep. The worst pressure for any NFL quarterback is directly up the middle because then you got to step to the left or right. Matthew Stafford is not that mobile. Mm-hmm. So if he has to take one step to the left or right, Here comes Aiden Hutchinson. Here comes Brian Brantz off of blitz. Here comes Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, or like Booner said, Derek Barnes. So they're prioritizing stopping the run and creating interior pressure because that's going to create quick throws for Matthew Stafford. And you get quick throws, sure tackling, you get this offense off the field if they can't run the ball. And if you're not putting James Houston out there, you're making your priority stopping the run. So I it definitely was surprising seeing James Houston inactive. When you look at the state of this offensive line, I don't hate the decision because you're just going out there and you're like, we're just going to be more physical than you are. There's not going to be a lot of style out in the edge. It's going to be a lot of physicality.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest matchups that we said. I had spoken about on FanDuel taking the 5+ sacks there, and I think like to me a little bit the James Houston thing's a little. I never question what Brad Holmes and these guys do, but that is something where I'm interested to see what is AG's approach with this. Like what is AG thinking with this matchup? He sees, and obviously the offensive line's beat up. He must have an approach to where guys he feels like are going to be able to make an impact in there. Maybe it's more so in the run game. Maybe they are like, hey, let's stop Kyron Williams. James Houston's not as good with the run. So they're like, hey, let's go a little bigger here and let's switch it up.
That's also a fair point.
So like there's a lot of different options I think that they're going to look at. We did talk about it like months ago, or not months ago, but like when they were doing these roster cuts, I do think this Sam linebacker thing, like I think that's something really to keep an eye on throughout the whole season. Like I think they're going to try and remember when we were at training camp, Klotz, like we kept talking about like Derek Barnes is like they're constantly in that formation with Derek Barnes coming off the edge. I think they love it.
Yeah.
And I think you're like, we didn't get to see in the preseason because they didn't play, but they were constantly trying to get guys behind Derek Barnes to figure out who's the best at that Sam spot. And maybe that was because like, hey, that's going to be our formation. Like that's the defense we're going to be in majority of the time. So like that a little to me, I think that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe we see a Derek Barnes sack tonight.
You know what I think we will see? Some Jared Goff chants. I mean, look at this. Look at this man warm up right now for the Lions. I mean, you see it. The chants are going to be coming. Yeah, warming up QB1. He's got I think it looks like his new AirPods in there. Look at him. Just getting ready, getting dialed in. What do you think he's playing in those? What do you think he's playing in those?
I know Taylor Swift. I can tell you that.
Bro. Oh my gosh!
I know Taylor Swift.
Maybe some. I don't know what. This guy, he's ready to roll. He's dialed. And again, this game, you're going to have the entire world watching. It's prime time. It's Sunday. That's why I love you're playing prime time to open up the season, which obviously is a new thing. But all eyes are on the Detroit Lions, and it's going to be exciting. But I know you teased it a little earlier. We should just get back to it. Resume your Booners bets. Those are your inactives. All right, let's get to the bets.
Let's do it. And here I want to put as we're speaking, I'm putting one more in. As we're speaking here because I want to make sure I give this out to the people. So yeah, again, for Booners bets, what we did last year, the legacy player. I'm going to pick one player. I went 14-3 last year, picking one player, a different player every single week. They have to hit their yards and score a touchdown. And obviously, you see last year, I know you see something on my phone. Jeff likes there, and he's looking at it right now. He's eyeballing something on my phone.
I do like it.
I will pick a player today to where his over has to hit and his touchdowns. I always take them separately, but if you want to parlay them, go ahead. They both hit 14 of the top 17 weeks last year. Also, Booner's lay of the day, Detroit Lions Booner lay of the day. We hit it probably 12 or 13 times as well last year. We constantly kept hitting these Detroit Lions parlays, making a ton of money. And then I have my straight plays. I usually give out 5, 6. Sometimes if I'm feeling good, I'll give out 7. And they always winning record. 5-1, 5-2, 4-1, 4-2. We are going to win money. We cover the Detroit Lions for a living, and I will make sure we make money doing it. First one we do here, we are going to do Booner's lay of the day. First one of the season here. I got it at plus 970.
Wow.
Plus 970. 6 legs. This one's easy to me. Jared Goff starting off. QB1 here in Detroit. We can get the Jared Goff chance going if we want. Jared Goff, 225 plus yards today, alternate passing yards. On top of that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the man, the myth, the legend, the sun god. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60 plus yards, alternate as well. They both will get those. I have all the faith in the world.
Like it.
No worries about that. Third leg. This is one. I love this one, Klotzy.
I'm locking it. As you say it,
Jameson
Boone,
Williams,
lock it in.
25 plus yards on top of the Amon-Ra Jared Goff one. Fourth one I have here, Jahmyr Gibbs, fellas. You guys are like, Booner, you're picking all these different players on the team. Listen, this offense is the best in the NFL. They're number one.
Number one. Okay.
Number one in the NFL. These guys will all be involved. They will all get these yards. Number 4, Jahmyr Gibbs, 60-plus all-purpose yards. 60 all-purpose yards, fellas. That's the easiest bet of the night.
I was gonna say.
Add that into the parlay. Fifth one, David Montgomery. Guys are like, oh, Jahmyr Gibbs and D-Mont. Listen, they're both going to go off. Klotzy, you said you wouldn't be shocked if both of them had 75 yards.
Yeah.
All we need here in this parlay is David Montgomery to get 50 rushing yards. Add that in. And then the last leg, the sixth leg, to put it to plus 970. It might be lower now because I absolutely cooked earlier today.
You did, Boone.
The last one is a David Montgomery anytime touchdown.
Love
guys.
it. That's guaranteed. Let me
I'll
ask
tell
you
you
this. For a straight play, what do you think about David Montgomery first touchdown?
I love it. I love it. He's going to be on the field the first time, so I do love it. But I have him anytime in this. I don't know where he loses. There's 6 legs here.
Yeah, I'm not.
Klotz, you said David Montgomery is a lock. I think he's anytime inside the 5. You're going to see Gibbs at points. They're going to be inside the 5-yard line and goal line multiple times. David Montgomery will have one of those touchdowns. This guy does not get brought down. If you're at the 5 or in, he will make sure he runs his way through everyone.
He's going to be falling forward all night.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. And people, just so I'm not BSing, like I just entered everything Booner just said, and I'm placing it now.
There we go. What are the odds
I mean,
now? Because I got plus 900.
So I can't, not boosted. So before the boost, you're at plus 647. It's at plus 516.
There we go. There we go.
Actually, it's a little higher. Add the 50 yards. So it's a little
How many
lower.
legs do you have there? I had 6 legs.
Yep, I have 6. Yeah, it's a little lower than you had it. I have to answer one more, but essentially you got it at its best peak. Guys, it's only getting.
Hey,
it's only going down. I got to add. Wait, hold on. Let me check right now.
It's a lock. It is a lock.
It is at plus 614. So you got it at 647.
Okay.
So it's decreased. You have the boost, which again, Bet US. You can get all those lines, and you can add your parlays. Please go get it and place your bets, guys. This is these.
Did you put it in?
By the way, I gotta say, and I don't know how many teams can say this, that your RB1 and 2, or not even, it's RB1A, 1B.
Yeah,
you can bank on getting about 50 yards each per game. I mean, that's just not. Am I crazy? That's not really a thing.
I'm trying to think of like the last
two
running back
backs.
duo to be in like that status.
Or you're just.
I'm really having a hard time thinking.
I don't know. I don't know any.
Like to this magnitude. Like I can't. The last like really, really good running back duo I can truly remember outside of like Zeke and Tony Pollard was probably like D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. But I think both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are miles above both of those guys.
For sure.
This is one of the best running back duos we've seen in the last 15 years in football.
All right, let's keep this thing rolling here. I'm gonna save the legacy player for the end. I've got a couple straight bets for the people. Are you guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
Couple straight bets, and you guys do what you want with this. The first one I'm doing is Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit Lions star running back, over 81.5 all-purpose yards. I think he gets over 100 all-purpose yards tonight. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, we saw what he did to end last year. He is on an upwards trajectory. Jahmyr Gibbs over 81.5 all-purpose yards. Again, guys, this is straight plays. Straight plays. Next one I have, this one's going to hit because you want to know what?
What?
I can't imagine going into this football game and being done with it at the end of the day and not seeing an Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown dance in Ford Field in Sunday Night Football.
That's a good point.
Amon-Ra St. Brown anytime touchdown, minus 110. I see the vision. I do not see us going into tonight, me drinking this Kool-Aid, without an Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown dance. Mm-hmm. Next one I have here is I have Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown. I think he as well gets in the end zone tonight. And you guys are like, oh, Booner, you're 3 different guys to get in the end zone. I can see it. I think Gibbs, D-Mont both get in the end zone, and I think Amon-Ra at some point will find the end zone in the red zone. Actually, now that I'm starting to think about it, I have a lot of touchdowns tonight because I still haven't gone.
Most of them are going to hit.
Legacy player.
There's probably 1 or 2 that don't.
I'm basically just going through the whole offensive all the weapons and saying, all right, let's find the best bets for each one. Next one here with Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown at plus 102. It's plus money. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 7.5 receptions.
Oh, wow.
He gets 8 receptions a game.
Yeah.
He gets 10 targets a game. And out of those 10 targets, guess what he's not going to do? He's not dropping a pass.
Not a damn thing.
That man will never drop a pass in his life. It's unbelievable. Another one I have here, I do have Sam Laporta, and this is one I had to take. I just think I can't see like Sam Laporta going out there and not having a game. I took Sam Laporta over 53.5 yards. I think that one hits as well. I think he's going to have he's going to be that little check down. No Josh Reynolds, right? All right, let's get it to Sam Laporta. Safety blanket.
Yeah.
Safety
Who's
blanket.
the linebacker covering him?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even know. They just traded the linebacker who should have been covering him.
Give me a name.
So I'm going to do that. And then what I'm going to do, and this is an interesting one, my guy on the defensive side of the ball.
All right.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
Minus 115 to record a sack. That is a lock tonight.
Oh,
I wish I could do it. I tried to look. I wish I could do 2 sacks for Aiden Hutchinson. Couldn't find it. I'll take one though. He will get a sack tonight. It's on here. It's over 0.75, but that just over 1 sack plus. That's all you need out of Aiden Hutchinson. I love that play. And the last one here. We're betting an interception, Klotz.
Okay. Who you betting on?
There's a guy who took a lot of heat after the Rams game last year. And there was a guy called named Matthew Stafford who tried to cook and tried to say, oh, he's a dirty player. No one likes him. Kirby Joseph.
He's due.
He's going to let him know today.
Plus 500 to intercept Matthew Stafford tonight. Give that to me all day long. Matthew Stafford's going to float the ball across the middle of the field one of these times, trying to hook who is it? DeMarcus Robinson.
Yep.
And he's going to float it up. And guess who's coming over the top? That's Kirby Joseph, baby.
Yes,
Kirby Joseph will pick off Matthew Stafford.
I love it.
Plus 500 tonight. And then the last thing, guys, here, you guys ready? Legacy player of the game. I wish we need to do we need an intro thing for this because this is going to be the biggest bets of the year. Legacy player always hits. Always hits. And you guys can tune into our stream. We'll be watching the game. You guys can tune in and watch it with us. We'll be following it along. The legacy player today, guys, it's the one and only. The fastest guy in football. Jameson Williams. Give me J-Mo as a legacy player. Touchdown for J-Mo. Take the over 39.5 yards. I don't see how the yards doesn't hit. And I don't see how Jameson Williams at one point today is not sitting in the end zone with his arms up doing the J-Mo celebration to the Detroit Lions fans. I cannot wait. Ford Field will erupt when J-Mo gets in the end zone. It might even be an end around. Who knows?
I think they're going to find a way to get J-Mo in the end zone. They did last year when he came back. Even think about games like the Chargers where he felt like that 6-yard screen route, but it got called back. The Lions have been consistently trying to get J-Mo involved in the game. It hasn't clicked yet. But tonight, Boone, it's going to click. And the Lions are going to get J-Mo in the end zone. I love it.
The sad part about it is it's plus 240. You get a ton of you can go win a ton of money on Jameson Williams tonight, and he will be in the end zone. He's one of the lowest Lions starters, I think, in the sports books for a touchdown. If you're looking at Sam Laporta's higher than him, Amon-Ra's higher than him, Jahmyr Gibbs, D-Mount, all those guys. And one that's probably closest to him is Khalif Raymond.
Yeah.
Get me Jameson Williams. I am putting it out there because I told Jeff before, I was like, he's easily going to get his yards, but the legacy player, for it to count as a win in my book, both have to hit. And the plus 240, that's a big one for a legacy player. But I think it hits though. I think the legacy player I'm confident in. 14-3 last year, and we're rolling with Jameson Williams for everyone right now in the chat. If you guys have an app that you bet on, whatever you do,
bet on Jameson.
Go in there and put the money on the legacy player. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'll say, well, I was 14-3 last year with it. Those plays do hit. 14-3. Who else is 14-3 in the city of Detroit?
No one else. Just you.
All right.
Detroit Lions are about to.
And it's usually, what, Booner?
It's
usually a gut feeling. You seem to get it right 80-90% of the time. So when he says J-Mo, you put the money on J-Mo. All right, and I'm with you. I mean, I have J-Mo. I mean, I took the parlay you gave out, so I'm locked in. I think J-Mo goes out there. They get him involved. I'm curious. The TD. What is he on his own for a TD? What do they got?
Plus 240, I think it was.
I mean, he could just
plus 240.
How do you not?
How do you not?
Shut up, Fitch. But how do you not?
How do you not?
I see it right now. There's a report, and we got tagged in it. So shout out at Detroit Sports Fan, at Evans _Lions fan for just a quick tag there. A Rams reporter put out Rams right tackle Rob Havenstein is inactive today. Other injuries or other inactives include Cody Schrader, Brennan Jackson, Elias Neal, Desjuan Johnson. I don't know who those guys are, but I know Big Rob, right tackle, starter, inactive. So there you go. Just get that confirmed. They're missing 2 tackles. You got Jonah playing out of position. I'm curious.
It's just going to be issues for Matthew Stafford, I think. He's a guy that can make a lot of great throws, but like any NFL quarterback, when they're under pressure, there's going to be more turnovers. There's going to be more incompletions.
Right.
Rob Havenstein, while he's not an elite tackle, he's at least a starting left tackle in the NFL, right tackle in the NFL.
He's solid.
Like, he's a guy that's been around. He knows what it's like to win with the LA Rams. So when you talk about losing him, it's not Penei Sewell, but when you're going up against Aiden Hutchinson, this defensive line, it's going to feel like you just lost Penei Sewell when you have a guy who has hardly played any NFL snaps out against him. So this offensive line, it's single-handedly what I think is just going to create the downfall for the Rams in this game. It's just bad. It's probably the worst offensive line in week 1 during the NFL so far. And when you got an offense and a defense like the Lions do right now, with all that momentum, there's a very, very large uphill battle that this offense is going to be facing, regardless of the skill players that they have.
It's fair. Ray says, did I miss Booner's bets? Yeah, rewind.
Literally 5.
Yeah,
we just did it, Ray.
Ray, you can still get it. Rewind, check it out.
I'll tell you what, Ray,
you
legacy player. I know you probably watched last year. The legacy player of the game today is Jameson Williams. So go get that bet in, over 39.5 yards and plus 240 for anytime touchdown. Make sure you go cook it. Hey, go make that bet right now. Come on, Ray. Ride with the fellas, man. Ride with the fellas. Cannot wait.
All right. Now, Ray Coker says, anyone got to make this dough. Yeah, respect it, Ray. Go back in and watch. By the way, guys, for the watch party, we know every single one of you are going to be watching the game. Do me a favor. Watch the game. Put it on the TV. Pull it on your cell phone, on your computer, on your laptop. Pull up Crunch Time. We'll watch the game with you. We'll hang out because we will be live watching the game. Us three, we got Michael Gentry in the house. He'll be watching with us. Boys will be we'll have bets in, watching the game. Maybe get that za I've been promised. I know we could maybe work that into the deal.
I don't know.
Maybe some 2 pizza bets.
Okay,
maybe.
well, we're getting pizza regardless.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
No,
That's unbelievable.
I'm gonna find a way to throw it up every single time. But we're gonna get some pizza, food,
Get the
whatever.
pizza when I get you your pizza. How about that?
Yeah,
Bro's going to bring some fucking Red Barons.
Did we
over from
shake?
the
Did we
Meijer
shake
down
on
the
a
street.
date to be delivered?
No,
I mean, that's
but
how
Okay.
technically a
I'll
bet
get you
is.
your.
I mean,
I'll get you your pizza.
it's like you went in a bet and be like, I'll get it when
at some point there's going to be interest added on.
no. The bet's a bet.
Yeah, I will let the chat decide. How about that? But regardless, come hang out with us, watch the game. If you, I know you guys will be too. But we got about 15 minutes left. So before we get out of here, I want to ask the question: who do you guys think? Give me a player. I know you did a legacy player, and maybe that is the player you think will be, but an MVP of the game. It could be offense or defense. Give me an MVP
Klotzy?
of the game.
I mean, it's.
We want to take Jared out of it.
Yeah, we'll take
Jared.
Jared. We'll take Jared out of it. But in my opinion, like I said, I know I'm very high on Jahmyr Gibbs, but it's David Montgomery to me when you just look at how weak this front seven is. David Montgomery is going to be averaging 5 to 6 yards per carry. He's going to be making 1 to 2 guys miss a tackle, and he's a guy that's going to be able to find the end zone once or twice without a doubt. So David Montgomery, he's an experienced running back against an inexperienced defense. Just let that man eat. Let that man absolutely crush the front seven, so then you can bring in Jahmyr Gibbs, and he can do Jahmyr Gibbs things. But when you look at this game, keep Matthew Stafford off the field. This game cannot be a shootout. I think the one player that really can help prevent shootouts from being made outside, or I should say behind this offensive line, is David Montgomery. So get D-Mont going. Let him get 80 yards, 2 tutties. I think even it's very possible. We remember we saw him last year on Monday Night Football in Lambeau. It might have been Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
100-plus yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think there's a very high chance he can go out there and do something very similar. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have an effect, but as far as the impact, we're like, God damn, this is just a David Montgomery game. I think this could be one of them.
I don't hate that at all. I don't. I'm gonna do this. I have one on each side of the ball. You guys ready?
Talk to me.
First one, I'll go defense, and you guys already know. Give me Brian Branch. That's a wild card. You guys thought I was going to say Aiden Hutchinson because Aiden Hutchinson. I see Uncle over there laughing. Gentry's laughing at me. I would say this: Aiden Hutchinson starts his Defensive Player of the Year tour tonight. By the end of tonight, someone do me a favor and look up on a sports book. Tell me what Aiden Hutchinson is right now for Defensive Player of the Year, and let's see what he is tomorrow morning when we all wake up. Okay. I want to see that. I would love to see the difference in the change from that. But I think tonight is a Brian Branch game, guys. Hutch is going to get his sacks, but I think Brian Branch. Do you guys remember last year when Brian Branch showed up to the table and we were sitting there watching, and all of a sudden we see Brian Branch. We see 32. What's 32? Who is that? Who's in the tackle there? Who's the tackle for a loss? Who's the guy that gets a sack? Who's the guy that has an interception? Oh, that's 32. Listen, 32 is going to be all over the field tonight. Brian Branch is going to be everywhere tonight. That man is going to have a big time game. He's not playing the nickel tonight, guys. He's playing safety. He's going to be on the field 80% of defensive snaps tonight. He's going to have some of the most snaps on the field tonight defensively compared to last year when he was only on the field half of the time. So I think Brian Branch is going to be an MVP on the defensive side of the ball. Now, offensively, this is where things get a little interesting. You guys think I have JMO as my legacy player.
Yep.
All right, yeah, okay, we can do that. D-Mott, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. That's all cute. Everything, it's all good. There's one guy who shows up every single Sunday night football game, every primetime game. He does his dances. That man is called the Sun God. Amon-Ra St. Brown will be the offensive MVP today. You're going to see, I took the bets that he is going to have 10-plus catches. He's going to have 100-plus yards, and that man will be in the end zone. He's going to have one of the best performances out of all the NFL wide receivers tonight. You're going to see that with the beat-up secondary for the Rams. This Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to take advantage of it. I've already said it before. This man, you could do everything you can to say, let's stop Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he will find a way to still produce and go out there and put numbers up.
I'll say this. I think the MVP of the game, it should, like the entire game. I know you did offense, defense, loved your guys' picks. I think the MVP today, absolutely unequivocally, you like that?
That's
has to
beautiful.
Be Aiden Hutchinson.
It's fair.
Aiden Hutchinson has to be the MVP. I think he has to go out there, and we talked about Boone. You said it. I mean, you said it before I've heard anyone else say it here locally, at least. But he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
First one. It is documented on Twitter. First one. Don't let anyone. And there's people around this city. Do not let anyone tell you I was the first one to say, hey, Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year in 2024.
I think he starts that campaign in about 45 minutes.
I love that.
I think he goes out there, Boone. I think he gets 2 sacks. Hell, don't let him get a forced fumble too.
Oh my gosh.
Because then now we're talking about the guys. You better get in on it now on BetUS, whatever you use. Throw some money on it because
man's brains are pretzel right now.
No, because let me cook, Boone. All right.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Put some money on it because whatever it is, the odds are going to drop after the game. So, again, Aiden Hutchinson has to be the MVP tonight. Go wreck the game. Make Matthew Stafford very uncomfortable with all the offensive line injuries. So, I'm going Aiden Hutch. That's got to be the MVP.
Somebody brought up in the chat, too. Let me find it. A Shift God, he brought up in the chat. He's like, TJ Watt, game wrecking today. Booner, we were watching. There was 2 plays, 2 forced fumbles by TJ Watt that were called back by penalties. That's what I think we should all be expecting out of Aiden Hutchinson tonight against this offensive line.
Yes.
He might not be TJ Watt caliber of player yet, but I think everyone in Detroit should expect him to be that, especially when you're the number 2 overall pick. You have the intangibles that he does, and you have the success on the defensive line and the players behind him. Aiden Hutchinson should go out there and look like a TJ Watt out there tonight, a Myles Garrett, a Micah Parsons. You see all these guys perform on primetime games and seal their ballot for, okay, this guy's a perennial player in the NFL right now. Aiden Hutchinson should absolutely do that tonight.
I will say, like, you got to see TJ Watt today. That's like that's a man who's obviously that's a defensive player of the year.
Yes.
So Aiden, that's like a good measuring stick for a performance. Glad Shift God brought that up because that's what you want him to do. Guys, I mean, we can get into it and at least talk about how you think the game's going to go. For people that are tuning in, number 1, thank you for tuning in. Number 2, subscribe, like the stream because, again, the love you guys continue to show pushes the stream out in the algorithm. But I'll ask you guys, give me a score prediction and a quick summary of how you think the game's going to go tonight.
Klotz, I'll hit it.
All right.
And so drop it in the chat, too. If you're watching, drop your score predictions.
Yeah, scores in the chat.
I'll put some up. We'll put some up.
I know Boone said 30 points. I don't think it's 30 points, but I think it's damn close because at the end of the day, like I said, I think David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, this offensive line, they're going to have their way in this game. So it's going to lead just to long time possessions, slow, methodical drives for the Lions offense to get down the field and put up 7 points. So I think the Lions are going to find the end zone 3 to 4 times. I think the Lions win this game 27, the LA Rams 17. I think it's a 10-point game. I think the Rams score later on to make it a little bit closer. But I think from quarter 1 through 4, the Detroit Lions just out-physical this LA Rams team. They find a way to create plays, and they cause havoc for Matthew Stafford like we've been talking about for this whole pregame show. Give me the Lions with a 10-point win, but it feels like a little bit more than
I'll
that.
say this, Klotz, me and you are on one page. It's a 10-point win. I don't have 27-17. I do think the Detroit Lions scored 30+. I think 4 or 5 touchdowns here for this football club tonight. I have the Detroit Lions with Jameson Williams dominating, Amon-Ra St. Brown dominating, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, 34-24. They win this game by double digits. And I think, like, Klotz, I'm with you a little bit. I think it's going to be we're going to have a good football game on our hands tonight. I just think it's going to be it's going to come down to the end. Lions will kick a field goal in the fourth quarter with maybe 5 or 6.
I mean, you're
this is insane. 5 or 6 minutes
ready.
remaining. Jake Bates, 30-something yard field goal, 5 or 6 minutes remaining, and then the Los Angeles Rams and Aiden Hutchinson will sack Matthew Stafford to give the Lions the ball back in the fourth quarter, and they will kneel the ball.
I mean, this
and we will be
is
victorious. I will be drinking the Kool-Aid. I cannot wait. Make sure follow our socials because the Kool-Aid chug
this is real.
back
I mean,
tonight.
look at this.
We are back. Lions take care of business. I take care of business.
I mean, we got a glass.
I cannot wait.
I got a glass of Booner. Oh, that sounds weird.
You better
watch
how you phrase that.
Of the rumored Kool-Aid that, again, only one man drinks after wins, and it gets a lot of attention because he's a legend. But Boone, I don't know. I just felt like I just heard, like, instead of reading, I just heard out loud ESPN, like, play-by-play. Like, you just told me the entire. I kind of like, hey, watch it happen.
That's how it's going to happen. I've got the script. Trust me. The script writers, I'm good friends with them.
That's fair.
Trust me.
I think tonight, what you're going to see, and maybe this is where we separate. We'll have our own different looks at how the game's going to go. I think it's going to be close. I do. And then in the fourth quarter, fourth quarter, I think the Lions do separate them, at least not in terms of winning by 2-3 touchdowns, but they're going to have control of the game. I have the Lions winning 27-20. I think they win by a touchdown. I don't have it as 3-4 touchdowns like you guys have. I think it's going to be a close game, but the Lions ultimately pull it out, win by a touchdown. That's how I see it happening.
How about that?
So book it. Maybe I have the script. Maybe I'm right. You're wrong.
One of my favorite things in the world is when we talk sports and what's the saying? You always can change your opinion.
With new information, you're allowed to change your opinion.
That's why I'm proud of you right now, Jeff Iafrate.
Yeah, because I could have died on that.
It's unbelievable. Congratulations.
I could have died on that
after the win. Congratulations.
I could have died on that hill, but as the more injuries, I'm not going to be stubborn about it. I don't believe in that.
There's not a path.
No,
they have a lot
serious.
Of. Like,
I mean, Matthew having one of the best games of his career. That would be the path.
Trademark.
And Jared completely melting down, I guess. I don't know.
There's just simply not a path to stop the Booner path happening in week 1.
No.
You can try all you want. The Booner path, week 1, full throttle.
They're absolutely right. I see some scores coming in. I'll read some of these. Give the people some love here. JC says 38-24 Lions. Man Bear Peg 27-23 Lions. John Hughes 38-13 Lions. Frank the Tank 27-24 Lions. Mix of opinions, some blowouts, some close games. Anakin 38-34, high scoring game for Anakin there. Lions Fanimal 35-17. That's on brand. Coach Walk 37 says 34-17. Shift God 27-34.
A lot of us on the same idea. I
think Shift God has to switch that around.
I like the
it looks like a loss, but he meant 34-27 Lions.
I'm going to keep my 27-17 pick, but because when I think about it and we talk about it, like this Rams defense, like I very easily see this Detroit Lions offense put up more than 30. So I really like the 34-17 pick too. I think that's a very realistic
34-24.
That's what you got, Boone?
That's what I got.
I don't see the Rams putting up more than 20 though. It'd have to be like a defensive touchdown, but Jared Goff turned the ball over. Jahmyr Gibbs, he fumbled in the playoffs, but you're not going to see that again. And Demont hardly puts the ball on the ground. So I don't know. Special teams something. I just don't see that offense going down the field 3 times and scoring.
Hey, shout out John Moltisanti.
40,000.
40,000 to 3 Lions.
Shout out.
Wow. Hey, you should bet on that final score, John. You might win big. T-Mac says 41-24 Lions. Slappy 313. Shout out to you. 31-21 Lions. Andrew Jones 24-21 Lions. And guys, don't forget, real quick, Dale too. I'm going 42-23 Lions. There you go.
There we go, Dale.
And real quick, guys, I mean, if you guys are everyone in here, I expect you guys to be in the watch party stream. We'll be watching the game, hanging out, eating some food, drinking some real American beer, which is official sponsor of Crunch Time Sports. One of them, and shout out to Pat, all the people over at Real American Beer for having us out in Ann Arbor over the weekend. We had a blast out there. But yeah, we'll be hanging out. Come hang with us as well. Even if you have it on the TV, just throw it on your phone, throw it on the laptop.
Hey, hang out with the fellas.
Just hang out with us. All the boys will be here. So come hang. Until then, guys, man, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms. Instagram just hit 10K. Big time. It's all above us. right here. Until the watch party,
which will be in very
All
soon.
right, the stream will be up in 5 minutes,
Just
and
hang out.
we'll be live
Yep.
a little after 8 o'clock, getting this thing rolling here for a Lions victory.
Absolutely.
Go
Legacy
rock
player
a piss.
Jameson Williams. I know you heard that over there. Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
Go rock a piss, grab a beer, give a kiss to your girl, and then come right back.
There
to the
you
stream.
go.
We'll be
There we
there.
go.
We'll be
Let's
there.
go.
All right, we'll catch you in a little bit.